Okay, today's meeting, we're going to be talking about different principalities of darkness and different ways of actually trying to remedy the situations that we're going to be faced with in the future. And we've already started the conversation like I always do whenever I come on. I can't. I like the truth, and sharing just has to be done from me. My spirit is here for that purpose. But there are different ways to deal with these things. And I know that there was a series that was on TV not too far in the distant past about my strange addiction. Did you guys ever see that? Where people were eating strange things and doing strange things.
I saw it.
That is evidence of spirit possession. And when people have these weird addictions and these weird cravings, and they're addicted to sex or drugs or alcohol or whatever, and then they want to eat gasoline or they want to eat fingernail polish or whatever, that is evidence of spirit possession. And I have a book, and you guys may or may not be familiar. It's called what is the name of it? It's about removing the spirits. And I should have brought it out here. I didn't even think to grab it from my house. But it's about depossessing people. And I know I'll think of it in a minute. My mind is like over in the east when it should be over in the west right now. So I have actually seen strange things in people. I have some people who have had some problems, addictions and things like that, come to visit me for hypnosis. And sometimes these people will complain about having physical problems, like they have stomach pains or they have back pains or they have, usually in the lower extremities is where they have a medical condition that no doctor can help them with. This may also indicate of some type of entity attachment, which can be removed through means of hypnosis by speaking with those body parts that the person is having problems with. And the process by extraction is to actually imagine portals for these things to go into, because a lot of times it can just be human spirit attachments that have lost their way, like wayward spirits, wayward souls. But you can, using the imagination, very, very important. This is why hermetics is so important. Through the use of imagination, you can gently persuade these entities and beings to go into a portal that you create with your mind, a portal of light. And as long as you're using persuasion and love, they will be guided and they will be willing to go. I have experienced this. Anything from the heart chakra up is how you deal with spirits, dark spirits and demons. If you are exuding love, the frequency of love around you, no demon or dark spirit can enter your body. But you have to have a strong enough will to not be fearful of these things. That is the most important tool in anyone's toolbox. No fear.
Well, that's interesting, because sorry to interrupt.
No, that's
what I've been told in like Filipino customs or like Asian customs, like if there's some bad spirit in your house, you physically like kick them, curse them out, and you kick them out of the door. So like what you're saying is something different than what I've been told. Like, that's interesting to hear,
Yeah, well, you use the light. It's all about love and light, because love frequency is the antithesis of dark frequencies like anger. You're angry at this spirit and you want to attack them, and you want to do then if they are stronger in will of you, then they can absolutely do you some harm. So your will is the strongest thing in this existence. I cannot express that enough. That is why they are getting these people, persuading them to do the things that they're doing. These people have been mindless, following what they're told, just like what they've done to us through the schools. They taught us to stand in line, obey, listen, obey. march like a soldier around with other children, and don't question authority. That's black magic, all of it.
When
So
you're doing this, can you walk us through, like, are you telling them to go in your head? Are you verbalizing? Are you doing both? Like, how does this look?
So let's demystify hypnosis together, because this it's just a guided meditation. All of hypnosis is a guided meditation, but it depends on how dark you are, because these people out here in the world have been using hypnosis not only in the TV and stereo and all this stuff with the repetitive sentences, all of this stuff, that's using hypnosis. It's the power of suggestion. And in MK Ultra My Labs, they even go so far as to do other experiments along with hypnosis and splitting the soul, fractioning the soul, just like what Voldemort did with his soul and his spirit. They fractalized the mind into different compartmentalized pieces. And the person then takes on a different persona to try to escape some of the reality that they experienced. So they can implant like all of these little code words and things to activate the person to do like really dark acts. It's like it's complete and utter mind control using hypnotic states. But hypnosis is ultimately just a guided meditation. And a good practitioner will use a loving voice and loving words and feelings of love to guide a person. Now, the level of hypnosis that Dolores Cannon taught was more like you just ask questions of the person. You don't try to tell them and persuade them to do anything except to walk around. You're just kind of guiding the person through their own visions and asking a lot of questions. So when you go and you do a body scan, you go and you have already gone through the process of the person's past lives. And now you've brought the person up to talking with the subconscious mind. When you ask for permission to talk to the subconscious mind, you can then offer the questions that the person came to have answered. You're giving them those questions. But then you're coming back and you're going, okay, there's something in the body possibly. So if the person has come to you with any sort of discomfort or disease or any kind of troubling thing with the body, then you can do what's called a body scan. And the way I do that is I guide the person. I'm like, okay, now starting with the head, coming down, and you go through each body part as you're like scanning, just like a scanner would do if you had one in front of the person. This is just my modality. This was not taught by Dolores Cannon. You start at the head. I'm starting at your forehead, coming down to the nose, to the mouth, to the chin, to the neck, to the shoulders, to the arms, down the elbows, forearms, hands, fingers, all the way down. You keep going down that, and then you go down the chest, you go down the abdomen, you go down the thighs and the hips, and all the way down the knees, the calves, feet, toes, that kind of thing, all the way down, imagining in your mind as you're scanning. And as you're doing this, you're asking the person, is there anything in the body that it does not belong? Is there anything that you sense that may not be, not supposed to be there? That kind of, you start asking these kinds of questions. Again, you're using your imagination as you're doing this. And the person will go, I feel something in my abdomen, or I feel something around my stomach, or I feel something in some part of their body, usually in the mid range of the body. I've had people feel things down in their ankles, down in the knees or whatever. So you go and you get the person to examine that area. Now let's look at that area. And I'm speaking to the stomach, or I'm speaking to the knees. What's there? Is there something there that wishes to speak to me? And sometimes the person will start vocalizing for the thing that is there. And when I find an entity that's there, that's when I say, okay, I know you've had, a lovely time spending time with this person in this area, but you really need to find your family. Your family truly wants you They truly love you and they need you. So I'm going to open up a portal of light. And would you like to see your family again? And usually they say yes. You know, would you like to really be with your family again and see them and be happy again in your own body? Well, then please, I'm going to open up this portal of light, and you close your eyes and you imagine a door at the top of a stair or whatever comes to your mind. It opens up and there's light on the other side. And you just ask them, I've now opened this portal of light, and you are more than happy to go up the stairs. Please go to the stairs. There's love waiting for you. Your family's there. You know, you're just words of encouragement and words of praise, always using the love. And they usually go. And they go right up there and they go away. And then you double check to make sure they're gone. Say, is there anyone else here that needs to go to the light? You know, is there anything else in the body that needs to speak to me? Or, you know, these kinds of things. And you scan the body, you keep scanning around until they don't feel anything anymore. And at that point, you know, you can go ahead and put love back into the place where the entity left to seal off. It's very important to put things back in, is what I've learned from Marcel Vogel, to fill the void that they've left. And then you just move on. Then you.
So how do you fill the void? Sorry.
Yeah, all you do is you say, okay, now I'm putting love and light in that area of the body that needs it the most, and especially in the area where this other entity resided. And you use your imagination to bring in the white light into that specific area of the body. And you can also imagine that light going down into the earth and grounding it there. And then, this is what I'm learning in Hermetics, you have to put a time period on it to make sure that it is locked in time and space. So you can say something like, you know, I am now grounding this column of white light into your body, and it will remain there until your body is fully healed, if you choose that, or until your passing of this from this plane into the next. Yeah, you got a question?
Yeah, is there a certain way that you need to close the portal?
No, well, I mean,
Is that grounding it? Is that closing the portal? Like, that kind of sounds like.
Yes, I mean, you're
Answer that
basically shutting off, you're filling up that space. But as that entity goes, just make sure to close the door behind them. And in your mind, you can be the one to say that the door is now closed. You know, it will never open again for that entity to return. Because it's important to kind of clean up. It's like it's taking a broom and kind of sweeping through everything and ushering it out. Everything is mind, everything. So the more imaginative you can gain, you know, that whole awareness of being childlike in your mind again is very, very important for magical practice, which is Hermetics. It is the foundation of everything, again, because it's the tetragrammaton matrix that we're speaking of. Everything is the elements. I am going to be giving a presentation on Leak Project. I'm currently working on making another PowerPoint presentation to explain all of this stuff and how it connects to the science of it all.
Sorry. No, I learned that the lower self, which is like what you're saying is like the child self, is actually closer to the higher self. So like we're in the middle, and it's faster to go through the lower self to get to the higher self than the other way.
Yeah,
And that's like what the Mayan masters were saying.
Yeah, the
Like,
children, you know, the child aspect is not necessarily lower than where we are right now. Children come in perfect beings. We're the ones going through the fires of hell, which is trials and tribulations of life.
that was just a modern term.
Yeah.
Self. It's like the innocent self, like that, what I would call it.
Well, I would say that is, you come in as a pure soul to have these experiences, and then you know, as you go through trials and tribulations, it shuts off all of your chakras and your connectivity to the higher realms, which has been by design, because that's the experience that we're living currently, is the dark winter of the mind, the whole consciousness for the entire planet. But as we go around that great wheel of time, we will be experiencing different challenges. Like from what I've collected, just from Aquarius to Capricorn alone, just by looking at the symbols, learning what symbols truly mean, because they're very important for us to know. It's a language, it's speaking something to us. And I always share this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and share it now. I'll have to go dig it up. Let me dig it up first, and then I'll share my screen. But this one astrotheology chart to me just explains it all in a nutshell, like pretty much everything. Let's see, astrotheology chart number 9. I'm always referring back to this thing because it is profound in its knowledge, and it has a lot of knowledge. Okay, so let me go here and share screen. We got to move boxes around so I can see. Okay, so in this chart, we've left Pisces and we're going into this age of Aquarius down here on the left. They say, Rudolf Steiner had mentioned in one of his videos that in 1880 was when we began the age of Aquarius, and that, we're still in what is known as this winter or Iron Age. And I don't know why my screen won't zoom in. It might be because of the camera, but there it goes. Let me slide over here for a moment. Okay, so we are in this winter or the Iron Age, which is where we have all this stuff all around us. Like we need tools, we need hand tools, we need houses, we need junk. It's very dense and it's very material, and it's ruled by Saturn. That's what is ruling Aquarius, and it's going to also rule Capricorn. Saturn energy is the challenger. He will challenge you in your natal chart until you are at a state of awareness that you can no longer be knocked off your pedestal, so to speak. Like you no longer feel the challenges that you face. You see them more as a reflection to grow yourself and your personality from your experiences. Then the whole game changes. And at least that's been the whole story of my life. Once I learned to face all of my challenges and say, okay, what am I supposed to be learning? That was the moment that my whole life opened up into a new world. And I follow only synchronicity. I do not try to steer my life anymore. I am divinely guided at any given moment, allowing the universe to speak to me and through me. So the age of Aquarius, as we know, is already, we're learning about the age of frequencies, basically, through the symbols that the Aquarius represents. It's supposed to be water. It's supposed to be the water bearer. But what it is it's sine waves that resemble frequencies. The water bearer, and possibly these terms can mean that he's pouring the knowledge back into the world. And the water is the element that interacts with all things in this existence, along with the ether, of course. The ether is always there. You can never escape it. But the water is the most fascinating element because it can go through different states of matter. It can be a solid, a liquid, and a gas. And it can move through spaces. And it is required of all life. So we're learning a lot about water and how it holds our consciousness.
Now there's a fourth one. There's a plasma state for the water.
Yeah, I heard about how they're actually using water as welding tools and stuff. Like they're using water welding. I'm like, that's interesting. So they've really come a long way with this knowledge. And all this is just trying to remember stuff and relearn what was already known from the past, because this great wheel of time, it comes about over and over and over. And that's how they could come up with all of these signs and symbols for the people of the future, the children of the future, to know what is going to happen during this time, like the most important things. So as we go through Aquarius, about midway is going to be a pivotal point of learning for our consciousness. And then it's going to descend again. It's going to descend and exit out of the Iron Age and into Capricorn. We still experience the Iron Age, but with Capricorn being the forefront of a goat, with the latter section of a serpent, a water serpent specifically, it's going to be a combination of land and water beings. What it indicates to me or hints at is that it's going to be the rise of the hybrids, and that the hybrids are going to become a part of our society, and they're going to have rights just like us. And that's going to be one of the challenges that humanity has to face. We're already working on that now, where all of the gender bending that is happening, and I believe that this is all black magic, but the gender bending is actually happening so that they can blur the lines, just like Catherine Austin Fitts said. She said they are going to blur the lines between humanity and robots, so that robots can then establish themselves as citizens too, and they can have rights just like us. And that these are the foundations that are coming right now. Like, that's what they're building upon. They want us to lose our identity and to accept all creatures and all manners of intellect out here in the world, and to see them as equals. So I feel like that's very valuable, because the age of Aquarius is going to bring about, from knowing this body that's over here in the center, when you look at it, it also represents something. It's not just there for effect. Falling from the age of Aries, which is up here at the crown chakra, down to the 2 feet, we fell from our highest state. The highest estate is the crown chakra in consciousness. And we were working with the fire that is inside the ether to create with just our minds. That's what all of this is. This is a very important symbol right here. It is a pyramid that has 4 sides. So it basically looks like 3 sides, but it has a bottom. You have to always include the bottom of a pyramid. And that is the symbol of fire when it is in upright form, which it would be if you were looking at this chart properly, the way it's being read. The fire is upright, so that's a pyramid shape. And that fire that is going to be inside of us works and manipulates the ethers to where we can use only our mind to create the material world around us. This is why, and I theorize this, I feel like it's something inside my innate knowing of awareness from my years in Alexandria that I have experienced during hypnosis, that they built all of those structures, all of those beautiful statues, all of those buildings that people can't explain how they were built, because they think with a 3D mind of hand and chisel. But this is so much more profound, because when we learn about hermetics and we learn about what's called magic, and listening to like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, when you read that book, he talks about how do we know that we are the gods, that we are as gods, because we have the ability to create with our minds. He talks about going outside of his body, astral projecting to other worlds where men were creating buildings of rose and gold with just their minds. And that's the reality. That's the stuff that we can do once we get there with our consciousness. But right now we're down on trying to find the path. We just left the age of Pisces, and we were trying to find the real path again. Falling from the highest state, there we fell to the 2 feet. We were lost in knowledge. And we were floundering around with the 2 feet or 2 fish of Pisces. And we entered the age of Aquarius in 1880, which is 2 ankles. And the 2 ankles are then going to create these 2 foundations for humanity to follow, because they're the 2 columns, or the two legs that begin and go up to the knees. They are going to be the metaphysical and the metaverse. And the metaverse is going to offer people a reality of instant gratification with uploading your consciousness to the cloud and installing the machine inside your body in order to obtain all of these amazing abilities that we can get when we get to the golden age. They're going to offer people a free ride, so to speak. And they're going to offer them limitless life. Like, you are now have the opportunity to not die. And so people are going to, without even thinking or questioning, they're going to run to that technology and they will be trapped. And this is where it states in the Bible that they will long for death and it will not come, because their mind will be trapped inside of an artificial vessel. And they've already stated this in science. They said, we can now take someone's consciousness and put it into what they call a sleeve. And the sleeve is basically a cloned body that they created to receive a consciousness. So they're playing God, essentially. And like I said, the long road is going to be the metaphysical, where we're actually working on ourselves individually and collaboratively to learn the metaphysical sciences, the sciences of the stars, the sciences of the soul. So that's what I interpreted from this. Now, I have not been with any gurus or anything. What happens is, because I spend so much time alone, I download information from my sleep, because I'm constantly like, what is this? What does this mean? You know, I'm asking of the universe. I'm asking of my higher self, because that's what's really answering. We're all tied. You are all aspects of me. And we're running around here pretending like we don't coexist and we don't really, we're not one, when in actuality we are. And so once we grasp the reality of that again, we can start changing the world for the better through knowledge. And, the trees and things like that, they're being ignored right now. And they are, as my brother even interpreted years ago, he said, they are the bridge between heaven and earth, because their branches reach up into the ethers, just like Nikola Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower did. And their roots go deep into the earth to reach the water tables and stuff. So they represent the four elements, and they are connected to the four elements in completion and wholeness. But we do not regard them. We do not consider them anymore as being part of us. And so because I live in a world where, this my immediate environment where I can see nature daily. I walk outside my door and, I have horses and stuff, and I look at nature and I look at the grass and I consider it and I talk to it, and I talk to all things, but I see that they are suffering right now greatly from funguses, because the soil biology has changed. They have been spraying so much of the chemtrails in the sky through geoengineering that it has destroyed the microcosm that is in the soil, which is absolutely necessary for all life. And so my theory is that we can use some of hermetics to change some of these conditions that we're seeing in the world. And the stuff that I'm talking about, and I'll just run through some stuff in a minute. Oh, do you want to ask your question, Andrew?
I just have a short comment. I noticed recently in my yard that I have this grove of aspen trees. Do you know about aspen trees? They're one of the fastest growing trees on the planet.
Yeah.
And these were found next to the gravesite where they buried the last czars of Russia. And Russia is saving the world right now by doing away with the Nazis. So, and my grandparents were from Russia. Well, anyways, I noticed that I have this grove of trees in my yard, and I noticed that it sends up shoots. It took me years to figure this out. Well, anyways, I mowed around a bunch of shoots that came up at a different time of the year this year. And now some of them are taller than me, and I have a new grove of aspens in my yard that wouldn't exist if I didn't pay attention to the trees. So it's amazing circle of life I see going, because it started out with 3 of them dying.
Mhm.
I thought I was losing these trees, and now I got a couple dozen more.
Yeah. It's perfect, right? I mean, I've got oak trees that are springing up everywhere, but they're so slow to grow, and they're in various places. I would need to move them in order for them to actually take hold. But I noticed this, and this is also the power of the mind. I have often, like, I've identified a bunch of plants that are edible in my yard because I figured knowledge is the most powerful force that you can have about, any food shortage or anything like that that people have been so afraid of. So I identified many plants in my yard, and I had been wondering for months now, why haven't I seen any of the lamb's quarters? I'm like, it's amazing that I have this 3.5 acres and I've not seen any lamb's quarters. Well, guess what? One appeared near the door to this building, which is my art studio. One appeared next to the door of this building more recently, like over the summer, it just appeared. And I was like, look at you. You're just coming up, aren't you? Just from out of nowhere, because I put my thought into it.
Also, people will find that herbs and things will grow because you need them. There's mallow that has come up in my yard because someone in my family had serious ulcers. And anyway, you make that and makes them feel better. So they know plants are definitely intelligent.
Well, and it just shows, that we can manifest these things into our world very easily, really. And it's through the subconscious that this thing came about, because it's not like I was, hard focused on it being there anywhere particular in the yard. I was just like, I wonder why I don't have any of this in the yard. And, I've wanted the clovers to spread, and they spread far and wide this year. So they're listening to us. As we whisper with our thoughts, they are listening and they're responding. But all we have to do is like recognize them again, and to know that they are part of us. You got something to say, Derek?
Yeah, I learned too that the plants, when you grow your own plants, they actually listen to you and they learn what your deficiencies are, and they will actually provide what you need. So instead of like getting stuff in the grocery store, which is like, that's just like some stranger, like, who's this guy? But like, if you actually grow the plants, they're more in tune to like what your body needs and your frequencies. I was just
Yeah, no, great. I mean, that's great for sharing. That's what I want to do. This is like a round table. Let's share all of our.
If you guys are growing anything, I'm really big into gardening and stuff like that. Please grow heirloom varieties, because they will reproduce true to seed. Things that are hybridized or GMO will not. And this genetically modified stuff, we have to start saying no to that. It is toxic, and it's it's being done for a reason. And your pocketbook speaks volumes. If we stop buying things, obviously I think there's another agenda when it comes to GMOs, but if you don't buy things, they won't make it.
All of that you speak, I'm very much aware of. That's actually where my journey started, because I had asthma. I had adult onset asthma, and I started reading all the labels, like, what is actually going to benefit my body. And I was learning about, all these chemicals and things. And that was back during my 30s. And I've been on this journey of just knowing which products to buy, which ones not to buy, and to stay in the fruits and vegetables section. And I'm very limited, because I know that even the organic ones can be just as poisoned as the other ones. And that's the sad truth, is that really, we're not getting any viable foods. So it goes so deep as to why people are in such a sad and sorry state of health, is because the body they're consuming things that are poison, number one, but it's going in and creating a massive amount of candida in the body that then creates a slime that coats the intestines and prevents any uptake of any nutritional value from any food.
Mhm.
And not only is it causing a swelling inside the body that most people are not familiar with, but it starts to eventually, cross over into other organs. And the candida actually creates leaky gut and goes throughout the body, starts destroying the body, because candida is the fungus that eats the body when you die. And a way to combat Candida albicans overgrowth is through consuming turpentine. The natural gum spirits, though, that was actually spoken about by a doctor named Jennifer Daniels, and she wanted to help her clients. So she was researching a lot of what the families of the old slaves were. She was like, well, I know some people who had been slaves, or their families had been slaves, and they didn't have money to go see a doctor or anything. So what did they do? And they told her they would take a teaspoon of turpentine with a spoon of sugar, basically. And that honestly was medicine. Like that was, and I've watched some videos of them actually, taking the sap from pine trees and then distilling it. That's all the process entails.
Plant medicine.
Yes. And that it's a forgotten and lost art that needs to be brought back into.
Yeah, the ancient Sumerians actually did that. They used the turpentine.
Yeah. I mean, and
Heard an Edgar Casey too.
I've used it, and it absolutely, I did a 7-day turpentine cure type of thing. And after about 3 or 4 days, you start smelling like pine trees, it's almost like you drink pine sol or something. But I mean, it's not unpleasant. It's like, okay, I smell like the trees now. But let me tell you the amount of clarity that came from my mind. The brain fog was gone. I could think very clearly. It's like a cloud was lifted from my mind. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
I think most people are actually infected with that and they don't know it, because you can share it between partners, drinking, whatever. Something, grapefruit seed extract also kills that. And it's one of the few things that can kill black mold. So if you have black mold in your home, if you have a diffuser, you can diffuse grapefruit seed extract. You can put 10 drops in a little shot glass and, take that. I put it in a cleaning bottle and I clean, with that, because it kills fungus as well.
Oh, yeah.
If you travel, they said bring grapefruit seed extract too, because that's just clarifies whatever new comes into your system.
Grapefruit is huge in removing impurities. I mean, that's why in the medical industry, they tell people who are taking medication, don't eat grapefruit while you're taking this medication, because the doctors don't know, but I know what it does. It purifies your blood.
Doctors don't want you to know. It's called big pharma. They wouldn't make that kind of money.
They don't know that they are practicing black magic, though. That's the problem. It's like these people bought into an indoctrination of black magic that told them, it taught them only about pharmakia, did not teach them about the real health of the body. So that's what we're dealing with. So I want to raise the awareness so that more people can see what's happening all around them. And I had some ignorant comment on my latest video about the demons everywhere. Someone telling me, oh, well, it's Halloween and you're just trying to trick people and you need to find God because you're trying to, I'm like, no, you are so ignorant. Please don't.
I think people get scared and then they don't understand. Can we go back to symbols for a second? I want to talk about symbols. People don't understand how detrimental they are. So let me give you an example. You go to buy a bottle of wine, and let's say you have something that says, I saw one with a guy bound up and he's, looking like he's in pain. And then you got another one that says bitch. And then you got another one that says menage a trois. And so people don't understand that symbols create a vibration. This vibration goes out into the world. It affects you. So when you're consuming something that has that symbol on it, you're essentially ingesting that feeling of the man bound up or the bitch wine. Same with, the clothes we wear, the brands that we choose, the Nike swoosh, like what does that symbolize? The Subaru, most people don't know that that's the Pleiades. And, symbols are everywhere. Our lives are run by symbols. And when we're choosing these things, it's affecting our body. People need to be very, very careful of tattoos. I see young people putting, these just crazy stuff on themselves, and that radiates into you your whole life. And tattoos can be very spiritual and very meaningful, very important, but just to throw something on because it's cool at some point, it's not good. And people need to know this stuff.
Yeah, no, they do. So the thing about tattoos also to know is not only is it sigil magic on the body, but it's also continually poisoning the body through the inks that are permanently attached to the skin.
Yeah.
And you're basically tagging like spray paint, your temple. But that all came about, they made it cool in society because it was originally used for prisoners, to like basically put numbers on them and identify them. And then they were allowed, I guess, in prison. I don't know if they were in prison and got tattoos. I have no idea how it all works there, but I do know that a lot of this stuff that is accepted by society begins in prison, like with the pants, showing the crack of the butt by not wearing a belt, or, exposing their underwear, wearing the pants down below the buttocks, all that kind of stuff is all originated apparently from prison. And that was a symbol that, they were available to the next man or whatever to do heinous things to them, sexual. It's disgusting.
Well, I heard that it actually meant that you were already claimed by somebody. So if somebody messes with you, you're going to be in trouble. That's what I heard. So they actually did that so that they wouldn't rape you.
Yeah, I mean,
who knows? But
it came from the prisons though, apparently, and tattoos did as well.
Well, that Iceman they found, Odie or Otis, or what was his name? Udu. Otzi, yes, Ozzy the Iceman. He had tattoos and they were on, he had like 60 something tattoos and they were on specific body meridians. So if you go to Chinese, acupuncture and things, and they were probably used to heal or protect. But see, we have lost this knowledge. And now everybody just tattoos themselves with whatever they are feeling at the time, whether it's skulls and bones or I hate you and fuck the world, whatever. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but, so it's lost its meaning and we need to get that knowledge back. And people need to know, these young people, they need to know, they need to stop defiling themselves essentially because they're lowering their vibration. Same with, like you can go to feng shui, just the pictures in your house. If you have, like a cowboy and he has animal heads everywhere and pictures of, cowboys shooting the animals, or, someone who has pictures of very sad objects, it's radiating that field in your home all day and it's bombarding you with those energies and you're soaking it up. People need to know that stuff. They need to choose differently every single day.
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, we are the souls who obviously chose to come here at this point in time and to convene together to try to establish a foundation of truth again and to work in collaboration with each other to bring about the change that we want to see. And it's about bringing up others, like grabbing hold of their consciousness in some way. If they will listen, if they, if the time is not right for them, they won't. It's that whole motto about that, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But if they're not ready, they will never hear your message. And that's where you just give grace and you just keep moving.
Yeah. And that's the thing, we need to also work on ourselves. Again, every day is a challenge. I'm not perfect, and I get angry and I get frustrated and I think terrible thoughts sometimes. And, I catch myself. And when you change yourself, your light will radiate out to others eventually, and they will want to know, well, what are you doing? Like, and they'll want to talk to you. You find that people like to talk to you, and then you can tell them little pieces of wisdom, and they can maybe incorporate those things into their lives.
Yes, exactly. Believe me, I give of my knowledge freely to people. I
Mhm.
feel like it is necessary. Anyway, yeah, we have to be the light. We have to shine our light brighter and just be free with the wisdom. And that's why I am, like I said, I'm going to be reaching out to Rex Bear to go over this whole information. It's basically bringing the science back to the spirituality is what my goal is to do through knowledge, because I found out that the air and the fire are positive ions and the water and earth are negative ions. And the connectivity between the two, like what the trees do, basically creates a battery and free energy technology. But we have to learn how to access it. And that's what obviously Nikola Tesla was doing. And, a lot of people are coming to that pivotal moment. Did you have something to say, Derek?
I was just waving.
Oh, okay. I know you've been like waving when you want to talk. So I'm like, you need to raise your hand. Yeah. So, I can go over some of that stuff with you guys if y'all want to see what I came up with. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing stuff. What's going on in the chat?
I'd love for you to do a video, Ellen, if you could, about how you remove those entities, kind of like you did with the crystals, which was awesome, by the way. Because I myself, I'm a sound therapist and I use tuning forks. And, darkness cannot live in the light, and we are all vibrating, right? So when you vibrate positive things like a tuning fork, it changes your body. So if you can explain, how you're removing, details step by step, how you're removing these entities, and then how, you're closing the portal, how, what the clients are saying, how you're helping these people. Because I think a lot of people have attachments. A lot of people have attachments.
Yes, but they have not yet recognized it. So let's talk about where the attachments come from for a moment too. What I've been learning is that there are these things called egregores, and they are basically thought form entities that are created from people's dark thoughts and dark feelings. The emotions can actually create other entities, and that these things get stuck in the ether somewhere. I'm not sure about the exact science of it all, but they are created by our consciousness. And it could be from someone else's consciousness that these things, emanate from, and they're attacking you and attaching to you. But it's all that dark energy that people emit that creates into, these different beings. It's amazing, but that's how powerful the mind is. But it's all different aspects of ourselves as well, because all is of light. All, even if they are darkness, they are still part of the one. It's like the yin and yang. You have darkness and light, and you have the divine feminine and the divine masculines. You can't live one without the other. I am still learning like everyone else is. I've just found the fortitude inside myself to step out on a limb and start talking about it. And for people to accuse me of anything on YouTube, any of the viewers, monetarily, I don't receive anything from YouTube. I do not monetize my channel. I do not seek monetization on my channel. I'm very much a person who is like, we've just got to get the message out. I don't care. That's why I've gotten a strike. And I'm like putting this other thing, demons everywhere. And I'm like, if I get striked, I don't care. I don't care. The message is more important to me than anything else, than the numbers on my subscribers on my channel, the money, anything. I'm not making any money. That's the thing. I'm like, yeah, I do Journey of Selfhood, and sometimes I do the crystal stuff. That's, not as often, but I don't seek money. That's not my modus operandi, like most people think.
I can vouch for this because she got me a strike as well. So
I don't have a channel, so I don't even know I could work one.
I mean, I try not to mention that, but then sometimes my guests and Jerry Marzinski speaking on the Archons Everywhere video, and that got taken down by YouTube because they're censoring us, because Google.
I got banned for just leaving comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, they banned me from even making comments.
Oh, you guys are going to see what they did. So even on the Demons Everywhere, YouTube has censored me. They said, oh, we are now changing the status of your video to not suitable for children. And I'm going, look at what they're doing. It's like Nazi Germany, It's like, you can't say that here. Anything that is disturbing to people. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I saw a video, and anybody can go and watch it, where these two gay guys are experimenting with dildos, and children can watch this kind of stuff.
Oh,
and
my.
that is free for anyone to watch on YouTube. I'm like, really, YouTube? Really? Wow. And I said
corruption is not censored, but the truth is.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I have a theory that the internet is an entity in its own. And, I know they have the algorithms and the AI and all of that, but there's more to it than that, I think. And, when the truth comes out, they don't want people to know. They do not want it because, we're supposed to be kept in a lower vibration, a lower state, so we can be manipulated and really just fed off of.
Yeah. Yeah, that's called
hermetic. It's like the universe is mental. You control the mentality, you can control the reality. So when you control people's thoughts by giving them false information, then you are the ruler of reality. That's basically what they're trying to do. But we're the game breakers, so we break their game.
Yeah, and there's so many things that people can do to help themselves, as simple as getting in the shower. Even if you're in prison, you have a shower. If you mentally, and when it goes back to what you said with your willpower, that's the key. The willpower is everything. Yes, you can use plants. Yes, you can use crystals. Yes, you can use astrology. But all of those are essentially tools to focus your willpower. And when you do that, you imagine the shower, the water cleansing you, all the dirt, all the yuckies going down the drain, and thank the water. The water is beautiful. It's healing. Water's like a supercomputer on steroids. We just haven't figured it out yet.
Yes.
Use those things to help yourself every single day. And if people knew how to do that, like I said, darkness can't live in the light. Those things that attack us all the time, they won't have anything to feed off of.
No, they'll have no power at all.
The darkness lives off the light. The light doesn't live off the darkness. Because some people are saying like there can't be light without darkness. No, that's actually the other way around. There cannot be darkness without the light. The darkness is basically just like a fake reflection of what the light is. There's the truth, and then there's like the truth that's been corrupted. That's like the darkness. But it's still based in the truth. Without the truth, there is nothing. Like,
there's a positive force out on the internet too. Do you guys know the story of Topsy? Back when they're having the current wars between Tesla and Edison, Edison used Tesla technology to kill an elephant
Mhm.
and Topsy, and Topsy's consciousness has been in the grid ever since, helping humanity.
Yeah, I haven't
Really?
heard about that, but
Yeah,
I
Topsy
don't
the
know.
elephant. Look it up.
you can imbibe your consciousness in anything, into anything. And that is spoken of in the Franz Barton's books. We just did last night's lesson on how to imbibe your consciousness into a room, and put your intention of a room. You envision your room, your space, that, for example, where you want to imbibe it with good health and well-being, and you lock that in time and space with your mind. So you say, okay, in this moment, I'm imbibing my consciousness to into this space, and I will feel healthy and wealthy and wise. Anytime I come into this room, it will always refresh and revitalize my energy. And you can bring in the elements, bring in the light, lock it into the space, and say, this will now operate on either a limited time span or unlimited time span or whatever, so that anytime you come into that space, you will then be revitalized. And this is how it works, because it's working with the mind. The mind is the ultimate tool. But you can come up with all kinds of creative ways. You can imbibe your consciousness in jewelry as protection or wealth, to gain insight, or whatever it is you want to achieve. We are the magicians. We are the magicians of the universe. We're the architects of this reality, because all we have to do is get the knowledge back of all of these things, of how to use the tools in the best way that we can. So one of the modes that I came up with, one of the methods for helping the trees, knowing what I know about star forts. Star forts are utilizing the negative ion frequencies of earth and water to create a perfect balance in the earth. So it's basically using geomancy, what's known as geomancy. And the star shape is reacting. A lot of those star shapes are actually in the form of the Star of David, which is not the Star of David, it is the star tetrahedron. Also, they have pentagonal shapes with pyramid ends, and they look like snowflakes. Basically, they're resonating at the frequency of water with these shapes. And what that does is it creates more vibrational, beneficial energy of the water element in its ions. It's reacting with the ether, which is the tetragrammaton matrix of everything. This is some of the stuff that I'm going to be explaining on Rex Bear's channel, is that when I see these things, I go, what is that? What does it mean? And then my subconscious goes, click, you already know this, click, you know that. From all of this occult knowledge that I've been diving into, learning about the pentagram. What does a pentagram mean? Why should we fear it? They make people fear knowledge. That's the problem. This is the root of all the problems in the world right now. Is
And they
that
also hijack symbols like you brought up the Star of David, and everybody thinks the Jewish flag, Star of David. It's not even a Jewish symbol. It's an ancient Vedic symbol, and it encompasses all of the elements. And so people don't know that, and they just think Jewish, and and that's why those things are done.
Well, they made it in their own laws here in America. They say ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Well, and that is why they have Freemasonry. They've indoctrinated people to come in and pay, because the Freemasons pay a monthly fee to be in a club of secrecy, because that's the selling point, really. It's like, oh, you're going to be in this secret society now, and nobody else is going to know what you're up to, and people think, oh, wow, that's going to be cool. What they're doing is they're a lot of what's in these books is just a bunch of codes and regulations, which is ridiculous. I'm like, this is a lot of fluff. And so someone at the top has decided to make all of this fluff and bury the real meat and potatoes, which is the knowledge of hermetics and the science of the soul and the stars, you know, all of this foundational knowledge of our world. When they could cut to the chase, remove all the fluff and just go, this is it, hermetics, bam, bam, you know, and you've got Helena Blavatsky, you know, with theosophy, all these other things, these foundations of real integrative, you know, change in the body, learning about the Kabbalah, the Kab, remember, you know, the Hajj, they have the Kaaba that they go and they circle the Kaaba, and then they worship Allah. What are they doing? They're worshiping the Kabbalah, you know, the Kab Allah. And it's like, the Kabbalah is us. It's us. It's everything about us. So what I learned about the cube of Saturn, Earth also in its element state is a cube. It forms a cube. So the Earth and Saturn are basically like one and the same in essence. There's challenges here on Earth, but Saturn is a darker energy, like it's death. It represents death and time and all this other stuff. And it is the portal. It is the seventh gate that we go through to get to back up to the stars. So we shoot up through the moon, apparently, go through Mercury and Venus, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. That's why they're the 7 days of the week. These are the 7 gates that we go through for our spirit to come up and down through these channels of energy. And when we're born, why is it so important about astrology? Because we go down through these gates where the light that's in the heavens at that moment of our birth, the star energy gets imbibed in our body as our soul. You know, our soul is like connected to these light forms, and it creates the character traits from the elements and from the stars. So there's like this creation that's happening. And once you learn this stuff, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll share what I've been working on for Rex Bear's show. I'm going to reach out to him. What's that?
What are your order of the 7 rings, powers?
Oh, well, I can show you that.
I've had other ones where like this guy has it here. They're all like mixed match. So it's like I'm kind of having a hard time getting the correct order.
Well, I believe. What's that? Go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know the Chaldean, however you pronounce that, the order. So for the days of the week, they changed it to what it is today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is not correct. The only day that remains the same is Saturday, which is Saturn's day. Sunday is actually Monday. Then it goes Wednesday, Sunday, or it goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Mhm.
And when you arrange the planets in that order, it makes a beautiful 6-pointed star when they all complete their orbits. Anyway.
Because I was just feeling it was all wrong. Like I've studied, like I learned what the day meant, but the days in order are like, that doesn't feel good. It doesn't like, you know, like exactly what you're saying.
And people use the planetary influences, you know, and again, it's to help focus the will. But, you know, Sunday is the rays of the sun. And if you're doing something in the hour of the sun, you know, you probably want to have to make sure you're doing it on the real Sunday and not the Sunday that we were told was Sunday, right?
Yeah, I do know that they've changed a lot in our world, but all we can do is try to learn from what we have. And, you know, there's been this talk that there's actually 13 constellations and 13 calendar months and all this stuff. And that they've also done a number on that so that we wouldn't know when we're truly born and who we truly are or what we are. And you know, we also come from orphans. Like my grandfather was an orphan, and then I probably have great grandfathers too. Other people that I've spoken to also had orphans. So they've confuddled the bloodlines, they've confuddled the timelines, they've tried everything to stop what's coming. which is the Great Awakening, which is us learning who we truly are and where we're truly from. So this is Ptolemy's model. Now, Dante, Ptolemy, Pythagoras, they all have a very similar model with Earth being in the center. And then they have these rings of influence, basically, that we go through when we descend from the heavens. And when we also go back up, we go through these different rings of influence. That is therefore purifying our soul before we get to the heavenly sphere at the very top. So as it goes up, this is the moon, Mercury, Venus, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And Saturn's ring, he's considered Lord of the rings because he's the outermost sphere of influence. He contains all of the other forms within his form. And Saturn is the gate of death. And it is also like when you look up at the night sky, you're basically looking at Saturn's influence before you get to where the firmament is, where the stars are. Now, the stars apparently are holes in the firmament, or, you know, something of that matter, where they are sending light codes down at us and speaking to us and creating these energetic patterns and challenges in our life. And that these wandering stars that we call planets oscillate back and forth in order to create an energy, a divine energy that gives us our challenges and our lessons. So it's a very big clock, and everything is in motion, moving dynamically, but the stars are absolutely fixed. That's why we know about different constellations. If we were flying through space at thousands of miles per hour and doing dynamic spinning and rolling with other planets and asteroids and just all kinds, zooming, just dynamically spinning and swirling, we would see new constellations. We would see new dynamic events, and we wouldn't have the same stars in the same places every single night, day in and day out. And that's why I say I have a very hard time believing anything that is coming from NASA. I believe that they are part of Hollywood. I know that Hollywood is owned and operated by the CIA, and NASA was formed after we took all the scientists from Germany, Nazi Germany. So I can't believe a thing that they are selling us right now. Nothing. Because they come up with mainly artistry. I took astronomy in college, okay? And we actually went to an observatory and we looked at what they were calling Saturn. And when I saw that thing, I was like, are you serious? This is like a joke, right? I mean, it wasn't this magnificent looking colored thing with rings and, you know, dynamic abilities. It looked like, honestly, they had taken some sort of little plastic thing and stuck it on the end of the telescope and said, this is Saturn. I'm just going, that doesn't look like anything. I mean, it was kind of blurry. It was fuzzy. And it really kind of it took the wind out of my sails, because I was like, I was expecting something cool. And it was like, are you serious? Really? I was just dumbfounded, really, because you see all these dynamic colors and all this craziness, you know, things floating in space. When you look at these space programs and NASA and National Geographic, whatever, you know, where they're showing all this stuff, that's all CGI. It's smoke and mirrors. And I saw a video where someone was exposing space satellites. They said space satellites are not what you're being told they are. They're actually on the Earth. And they showed where they had all this junk out in the middle of nowhere, and that they were sending like signals up and all this. I'm going, I'll have to find that video, because I was like, what? I have seen something like a satellite floating across the sky. You can barely see them. You know, they just kind of go, woo. I don't know what that is. But if they had thousands upon thousands upon thousands of satellites surrounding the Earth, if we were a ball, wouldn't we see them more often? Wouldn't they be falling from the sky? Wouldn't there be more dynamic things happening from those things, thousands, hundreds of thousands of them floating around? We would be able to see some of them floating across the night sky. I don't ever see anything. I don't know about y'all.
Well, they don't want us to have this knowledge. This knowledge is incredibly important. It affects everything in our lives. You know, the planets give off a vibration, just like the moon controls the tide. Planets control different aspects of us, not only physically, but mentally, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have the church who, you know, demonized it. And I just looked in here and it said, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years. You know, this knowledge, we're supposed to have this knowledge, and it's been taken and it's been hidden and it's been demonized and twisted. And, you know, when you say astrology, people look at you like you're crazy or you're a quack, or how could that possibly, you know, influence or impact my life? But it's hugely important.
Yeah, no, but okay. So one of the things my innate wisdom tells me about even the tides is that it is not operated by the moon, that it is not magnetically operated by the moon, that the earth breathes with its own breath, and that it creates the tides just like the wind. You know, the wind is part of the tides. The four elements combined create a dynamic force. And it doesn't need the power of the moon, because apparently there was a time when the moon wasn't there. And that's what is said in ancient tribes, you know, the tribes in Africa, they said there was a time when the moon wasn't there. And I do believe that, because I hear about the initiation of Earth, and the creation story about that is that there were titans, the sizes of mountains on the earth. And there's evidence of that. And also the trees, the huge trees. Devil's Tower is a tree stump. I don't care what anybody says. It's a
There's a lot of pictures of that. Yeah.
And then that the mother tree is at the North Pole. And they had these beings who were basically hermaphrodites that were walking around, and they didn't need to go out and have, you know, a partner or anything. They were perfect in their being. And then somehow another great war, you know, because this is what happened. Great war happens, everything gets destroyed and everything changes. And then perhaps then at that point, someone's consciousness said, well, we're going to need some way to get these souls up and down through earth. Now that everything's changed, let's invent the moon, you know.
That does make sense, because in Vedic astrology, the moon changes its not only its phase, but the mansion that it's in. And so, you know, your soul could be coming through a certain planetary system through the moon, and the moon is actually pulling that in. People should study Vedic astrology. It's
Yes.
Very important.
Yes. You have a question, Andrew?
Yeah, you had said about flying things. I video recorded a UFO on July 10th, Tesla's birthday. And my friend Medusa was framed, Joyce, she has a channel. She has another channel called Morgan and Wing, where she reads cards. And she said that after watching the video, she said that it was probably higher beings who are spreading a healing plasma. And the thing is, with what I recorded, it could have been a plane, but I don't think it was, because when I first saw it, it looked like a car was shining its lights backwards, you know. And then I had to run upstairs, get my phone, and by the time I got back down there, it was further away. But I did manage to video record a little bit of it. And of course, MUFON said it was just a plane, but planes have red and green lights. This one only had white ones, and it made absolutely no noise. It was totally quiet. And I've had many, many UFO sightings starting in 1980. Really up close ones though. So I don't know, it just felt like a continuation of what I was seeing, because right after my first sighting, which was a series of sightings up close, which culminated seeing the beings themselves. And Mr. MBB 333 just showed a being too. If you guys haven't seen it, go look at his channel. It's freaky. But anyways, I saw one on Tesla's birthday, and I think they're still here. They're helping guide us. And after my first sightings in 1980, I was drawn to this area, this certain area, and I ended up living here. I bought the home right next to this area I used to be drawn to after seeing these UFOs. And this is where my son found the ancient stone tool that I have with the finger holds on it. And this is where I'm having all these amazing experiences. And I do water prayers out back in the creek every single day. I've been doing it for years now. But I think they are guiding us. And I have this Chinese doctor friend I'm talking to, and he says all of these crazy things. But if you study his work, it actually makes sense. And he says they're getting ready to show themselves. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen, guys. I have no idea. But this is what they're telling me. And this guy is not a nobody. His name is Dr. Zhenzong Kuai. He's from China. He was in a Chinese gulag for a number of years. He got out. He actually worked with the Chinese military to write their esoteric stuff. And he's living in the US now, in New Jersey. And he's claiming that the aliens are going to show themselves, the higher beings or whatever, by putting up these giant 700-meter tall statues next to the Statue of Liberty in New York City, and one in Beijing, China, that looks just like it. So all of humanity is going to go, oh my God, aliens did this. and they're not going to be able to deny it. And we don't have a time frame for this, but like I said, I can't even prove any of this is real. But he does have a website. You can study his work, which I've presented on my channel in the past. He explains everything. Those big round balls they see going near the sun, and putting things onto the sun or taking things off, you can't really tell, right? Well, he claims that they're delivering more hydrogen all the time, and they're changing the nature of the sun, and they're getting ready to move us all up in ascension. And that includes not just us, but the whole thing, the whole solar system. So if you guys want to look at his teachings, I can drop a link here in the show notes if you guys want to look into it. But it's very interesting, and from what they're saying, it might be around the corner. I can't say this is really going to happen, but if it does,
I heard that too.
You heard the same thing?
Yes, there's a lot of things I think happening. A lot of people aren't going to understand in different directions. So, let's just say God is one, and so has the galactic. Humanity will have to know the truth. It's going to happen, and those that are either going to accept it or not. So I believe it is close. I don't want to say it's going to happen. Sure, I'd love to see it happen by 2023, but there's no turning back what everybody here is awakening to. And I'm new to all this, like 2 years. I know I probably had some kind of power somewhere along the line, but I just want I don't do nothing. Ellen does it all for me. But I believe, yes, we're going to get full disclosure is going to be, we were not created the way the Bible tells you. We are not from here. A lot of us are different species. And that's going to be a big disclosure for people. So I'm kind of cool with that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I
So,
think part of our process of awakening is just to allow discovery to happen to each individual.
yeah.
For
And
them-
they're feeding us like like the things that are happening to you, Ellen, because of your heart. And I'm not saying anybody here doesn't have a beautiful heart. We all do. I know Ellen personally. She's a friend of mine. When she speaks to something, she speaks to something. You know what I mean? So they're contacting you. So I think, you know, you're going to have all of your abilities that you're looking for, but they have to get you, they say, up to the higher frequency, because in this density, your body can't handle it. You know, we're not made to be extraterrestrials anyway, but even though we have those abilities, we are magic, like she says. She is a world of information, but there is a lot. That doctor that Andrew met, yeah, I believe he is telling the truth, 100%.
I think he is too. I've had a lot of synchronicities with him. To that makes me think that he's real, but I can't say for sure it's going to happen. But it's pretty close, like 30 days, 60 days, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Well, the only thing about the element of surprise coming from out of nowhere is it would shock the foundations of too many people. And then that's one of the things that I hear consistently from highly evolved people, you know, in regards to them. It's just like if we were to go to some tribe that had never had contact with us and we just go, hey, surprise, we're here, you know.
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to do that.
You can't. And we have to have our own discovery and solve our own problems that we're faced with. So the element of surprise would not be advantageous for any being who is of any higher authority in the concept of consciousness. So I can't speak for anything. I just go with what has been spoken of in the past and re-evaluating past events and past information and past knowledge from that has been handed down from Egypt and from, you know, these types of places where real intellect was created, where these people were truly seeking the wisdom of the elders from the past ages. And that, I feel, is a great foundation to carry into the future. Even as we go into the age of Aquarius, when we get around all this technology and stuff, which I'm really not that interested in, I'll be honest. You know, I would long to be back where all the ancient scrolls and the Library of Alexandria and, you know, the ancient buildings and statues and cobblestone streets. That's where I would love to go live out the rest of my days. I don't need this 3D, you know, technology with the cube in front of my face with the black mirror. And I totally just want to reconnect with what we can naturally provide from the free energy and all of that beautiful world that I long to be with. But I'm here now, so I have to deal with stuff. So one of the things I was going to tell you guys is that one of the modalities I thought of with helping out with the trees, and I did this yesterday after, you know, coming up with the concept, after thinking about Freemasonry and the elements and all of this, is that I can, right now, since I don't have any materials, I can imbibe my consciousness by meditating on what's known as the Star of David, you know, as a foundation around the tree. So the design is basically from my mind implanted around the base of the trees. And in time and space, you can lock that thought there to work with the 5 elements. You know, that's the 4 elements plus the ether and all that, the foundations of everything. and just lock it in time and space, just keep it right there. That's one of my ideas. This is how powerful the imagination is, though. And also to make it one of the higher chakra colors, because green obviously is what plants strive to be. It's the heart chakra. And then you could do blue or purple, purple being the highest frequency, that's the crown. But the heart, I think, is what the trees need the most, which is the love. So that's just a thought. And eventually what I want to do, and I put this out to the ethers, I want to obtain all of the copper to then cut and manufacture via copper and copper wires. I want to establish these Star of Davids and bury them under the ground where the trees are. So around the tree, but there. And I believe that the direction that the star points to has importance. Like I feel like it needs to point to the east, at least with one of its points. And I asked the trees today, the trees can speak to you via your imagination, your subconscious mind, and it's imagery that pops up. So I asked them, I said, I went up to a tree and I said, which star should I use? Which one would you like for me to use around the base, at the ground level? And I closed my eyes and immediately the Star of David came up and I said, okay, thank you. And as I'm continuing to speak and say different things, I gave an ode to Mother Gaia at the north and then ode to Father Sun at the east. And when I did that, it was interesting because the image of the 5-pointed star came into my mind. The pentagram came into my mind during the time when I was giving this honor to them and requesting for their assistance in helping to facilitate those modalities for my trees, as far as obtaining the copper and all of that, because, the copper is very expensive right now. And I got a lot of trees. So I just put it to it. I said, look, I need some help with this. And so again, getting back into hypnosis and things of that nature, the thoughts, the imagination is the most powerful force to utilize when working in anything in this, when you're working with people, when you're working with, trying to heal nature, with your animals, with your health, whatever. Use your imagination to heal yourself. Imagine yourself in full health. All these things, it works. I know that I've always said that I will not be overweight. And I imagine myself from back in the day, I feel as though I do when I was a teenager in my 20s. And when you feel that essence, you can feel almost like your body is shifting to mold into that form from the past. This is how people can change into animagus. They can basically change into an animal form. It's through the mind. This matter, what we think is fixed, is not fixed. Science is proving that matter is malleable, and that what they call the ether, they're calling it quantum, is malleable. And eventually, when we get into these upper developed stages of our awareness through all of the incarnations, we will be able to work with those ethers and to dynamically create different phases with matter, from ourselves becoming animals or trees or plants or whatever, into, hey, I'm going to manifest some wonderful fruit dish in front of me or whatever. That's the abilities that we can obtain, but we have to begin somewhere. I'm telling you, it gets crazy, but flying carpets, there's a reason why they talk about flying carpets. They imbibe their consciousness into the carpet to fly, to levitate, and then they could maneuver it with their mind. It's real. It's absolutely real. We can do anything when we put our mind to it. I don't know where my guest is. She hasn't contacted me. I'm going to go check my email real quick and see, and make sure she's okay. Because I know that she was getting caught up with this other process that she was getting involved with. She's like, oh, she just told me today that, she's now gotten involved with this other thing this other event where she had to go to school to do something for someone.
Well, I have to go, but it's nice meeting everybody. So I'm Kara, by the way. And anyway, I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming, Kara. We'll see
All
you
right, have a good day, you guys.
later.
Bye, Kara.
Bye.
What's up, Andrew?
I just wanted to back up your claims about this magic stuff. I put a short video in the clip, or I mean in the chat, if anyone ever wants to click on it. It's about 10 minutes. Last year I had the most amazing year. It started in March with an early kayak trip where 3 garpike, full-size garpike, you ever see one? Do you know what a
I've
garpike
seen a
is?
photo. Yeah, I've seen photos.
With the long skinny nose?
Mhm.
3 of those came up to me in my kayak all at once. And I have never seen anything like that in my life. I've seen schools of gar like that from a distance in Florida, but 3 of them came right up to me and I couldn't even figure out what they were. Then all through the year, starting with Lionsgate, this crazy stuff started happening where I was out on a UFO we were trying to do a UFO watch one night. We didn't see nothing. Not even the moon came out, of course. We were looking for him, right? And on the way home, I said to myself, well, I don't want to hit a deer if there's any deer out walking. So I made this crazy thing with my hand and I went, if there's any deer out there, I'm just driving by. I don't want to hurt you. And as soon as I did that, it was like somebody flipped a switch and a director said, cue the deer. And there's this deer standing in the creek, or I mean, in the ditch next to the road, just standing there. And it was a full-size buck with a rack on it. It was amazing. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. And it was right next to the road. I would have hit it if it was walking, but it was standing there and it was facing away from me. It was not moving a muscle. Okay. And then to top it off, I did it again on the way a couple miles later, and a doe walks across the road. And as she's walking, she turns around and looks at me. And then it kept happening again and again. Another night, coming home from the same place, I did it again. And there's this buck standing on somebody's yard like he's a statue. And he's standing there with one arm or one leg up in the air. And then as soon as I noticed it, I said, oh my God. And I started following it with my eyes. And it started following me with its head. That's how I knew it wasn't a statue. It was watching me. And this all sounds insane, but the last one was the craziest. I saw a mink, a black mink. I was at a church party. We were having a church bonfire, and I left the church bonfire and I did that thing again. And I've never seen a mink in the wild. Anybody ever seen? I've seen all kinds of animals. This is the first mink sighting for me. And I did that thing, and this mink comes out, but it didn't just run across the road. It stopped. It stopped to make sure I saw it. So I've had so many crazy animal encounters like that. And this year, a deer walked up to me while I was doing my water prayers out back. And it didn't know I was sitting there, and I could hear it running. It ran up to me and stopped. And then it got mad. It turned around and it started hitting some trees with its horns. Because I was blocking its path up the creek. And it's like a natural path up to Chestnut Ridge and the Eternal Flame Falls, because there's a roadway where they can't cross, but there's a tunnel under the road. And I know all the animals use it. You know what I mean? Because it's a huge, there's 2 of them. And deer can easily, I've walked under there. And it was amazing. I cannot tell you how many amazing animal encounters I've had in the last year. So check out that video if you want.
Well, I'll tell you this, Andrew. Even my own brother is starting to discover why he has liked certain things in this life. He likes bears and all kinds of things. And he more recently found the Fintan McBachra, who was Ireland's first man. And Fintan McBachra was a shapeshifter. He actually shapeshifted into a salmon when Atlantis went under the sea. and he swam to what is now Ireland and walked on the shores there. And apparently there were only like 50 women and 2 men who survived the cataclysm. And so these men were supposed to repopulate the earth, and he didn't want, he ran from all the women and ran to a cave, is what this is of Fenton's story. So my brother feels some sort of connection to this. But what I'm trying to impart on you is perhaps you have some sort of connection in a past life where either A, you were a shapeshifter, or B, you had some language or knowledge of such to communicate with the animals. This is what is being discovered right now in the clients that come to see me and stuff, is like they're starting to rediscover who they were in the past. And especially myself, like my subconscious mind wanted me to know about 2 particular past lives so that I could remember who I was during the time of Atlantis. It might have been just after Atlantis or sometime during Atlantis, where I was in Alexandria. Apparently there had already been a great cataclysm, because I did see Egypt as mostly a desert, but it was still jungle during that time. Alexandria was, at least. A very weird information that involves a hovercraft too. It was a golden hovercraft that I was going to carry me over to where the Pharaoh was. And it was so unexpected in my vision. I was just like, what in the world? It was shaped, it was an oblong shape. It was about 8 feet long, and it was hovering off the ground about 2 or 3 feet. And it looked by all intents and purposes like a golden Fabergé egg, because it was bejeweled. And it was just such a shock to have this vision in my mind's eye. I was like, what is my mind concocting? But after playing Assassin's Creed Origins, I had just started playing that game, but I had just made it to Alexandria before having this hypnosis session. And after the hypnosis session, I said, I'm going to go find my temple there in Alexandria. I was like, I know it's there. I'm going to prove it, that it exists. And sure enough, because my temple, I felt, was at the base of a large staircase, in that game, there is what they call a temple at the very highest point of these stairs in the game, that I'm assuming in reality was the Library of Alexandria. So I went to one of the staircases at the base of that thing, and I found the temple that I had seen in my vision. And I was like, holy crap. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, because the temple itself was very tall, which my temple in Alexandria had a very tall ceiling. It was very sparse of any furnishings. It was dark, and I had a divination basin of water that was in the center of the room, that had a skylight that would shine light on the water, and I would divine for things in the future for people. Well, it had 2 dark columns that were on the porch, and 2 golden rings that were about a third of the way up. Now, the video game did not depict the golden rings, but it had the 2 dark columns that looked like black onyx, or polished black marble or something like that. It had white veins in it. But there's a cobblestone street and a wall across from my temple the wall was about 3 feet high. And everything was in this video game except the jungle that was across the street on the other side of the wall from my temple. And I was like, this is insane. But part of the thing that had triggered me during that video game was when I had first found Alexandria. I was riding the horse. I liked to just explore in the game. Fighting it's never been my forte in games. But I found the warehouse that is at the docks of Alexandria. And I was like, oh, cool, there's a warehouse. And I saw these Greek statues that were inside the warehouse. I was like, oh, cool. I've always been fascinated by Greek statues. This is another clue, that there's some attachment to the past.
Mhm.
So I saw the Greek statues, and overwhelming sensation of sadness and sorrow and longing came over me. It possessed me so much that I began crying without cause, because I had this overwhelming feeling that I longed to be in a place, in a part of time that I could not go back to. And it was like this inner wisdom was just pulling me, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm playing the game, and I'm like, why am I crying? It was so ridiculous because I was so confused. But then I had the hypnosis session, and then I went back to the video games, and absolutely my temple is there. This is why I say very important to grab onto those things that you feel connected to and discern. Try to find out more information about what it is that is knocking, because that's knocking at your subconscious mind, and it's trying to tell you something.
Well, Andrew, you've been having a lot of animal encounters, and we all, not me personally, but we all have the ability to talk to animals. And you can, because there are a few people in this whole movement. Catherine Edwards has a channel, and I just realized she talks to all her, like they all talk to her. It's not you talk to them, they talk to you. And that may be your ability.
Yeah, I even got pictures of Bigfoot footprints. I haven't seen any Bigfoot. I don't talk to Bigfoot. But
He won't
yesterday,
talk to you either. He's more afraid of you than you are of him.
yesterday I heard two solid heavy footsteps and I didn't see anything. But that was the first time I've ever heard any footsteps in the woods. I've been going out in the woods my entire life.
Well, I don't think they harm you, I really don't. And all those things that they say we should be afraid of or not. But yeah, looking at the animals and seeing what they have to say to you, they know you. We all
you ever
have
had
that
an animal-
ability.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Derek.
Have you ever had an animal give you communication through a smell? Like this dog ran off here. It's like the neighbor's dog. And then I was worried he would get run over. And then for some reason I had the smell of dog food, which means like you're at home, you're safe, you're eating. So
Uh-huh.
that's what it was like. Don't worry about it. Like I'm, like that's how I, how do you say that? Like translated that smell into like, he's okay. Like that was
Sounds-
kind of like,
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Sounds like you had a psychic connection there.
Yeah,
yeah, I know
Exactly.
something there, but
absolutely. It's that
That was
part
real.
of us,
Yeah.
that questioning we all have, that you have to say, wow, I could do that. Thank you. I always say thank you. Because there's
Yeah.
someone right beside us at all times. They're trying really hard to break all this dumbing down that has happened to us. So they're helping us. All you have to do is ask. They will help you. And they will show you signs. You ask. I've had a few. I think
Me
it's
too.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's quite
absolutely.
amazing.
I had an experience when I was working on The Walking Dead. I was in one of the studios, and my mind often wandered while I was working, away, slaving away. And I was sitting there, and I'm sure I had listened to a video, and I was like, I wonder if we can summon, the animals from the forest. And as I was thinking this thought, this bird had flown through one of the huge open bay doors, and it flew and perched upon one of the sets where I was working, and it was looking, and it was going, chee, 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 and I was going, okay, I guess that's that for me. And it flew right back out, and I was like, okay, I guess
Absolutely.
that's a thing,
The universe is waiting for all of us to accept
the connectivity. Yeah.
and believe.
Yes.
A lot of us are in such disbelief that, like, wow, I really did that. But yeah, you did, I think it's awesome. I think this is amazing. I'm loving every minute of it. Not that I have any magical powers. I'm just I'm just a love
You
bug,
don't cut
know?
yourself off though. You don't
No,
cut.
I'm not cutting myself off.
Yeah, you do. When you say you don't, that's cutting it out.
Well,
that's creation.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I'm just
You
new
have
to all this.
gifts. You have all the gifts of the universe. You
Yeah, I do know that now. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
You're
I'm just
full.
waiting for the right door to open and out I go.
It's coming.
Me and Harley.
It's coming for all of us, you know,
It is.
all these amazing abilities and things. And
It is.
especially as we give love and grace to our surroundings.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. It is. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
You're all wonderful people. I want you to know.
Yeah. So Andrew's sharing the song. Let's see what
You guys got to hear that song, man. I swear to God, it's the most beautiful song in the world. I played it on my show the other day. It makes me cry every time I hear it.
Aw.
certain things, yeah, certain things make me verklempt and it just takes me back. It's just like, you know, the other day, oh my gosh, I was thinking about my time in Alexandria. I was like, you know, just reminiscing all of the things that I experienced during my hypnosis session and all that. And I mean, because I still feel, oh, that thing's playing in the background. Sorry. Something is, I don't know. Is it, no, did you
That
guys?
was me.
I thought it
That
was
was
me. I was like, did I click on that? Because I was feeling that emotion again, because I feel it when I really think about Alexandria and stuff and that life there. I long to be back in that moment. So it just, I was wailing the other day. I was just feeling, I was like, oh my
Wow.
God. Because back then we had more abilities than we do now.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was more connected to divine spirit, and I could speak for others, you know, I could like divine for others who didn't have that connection or whatever. And, you know, so it's just all changing now. And it's just trying to remember some of that stuff. And I think that's why it's so easy for me to make all these correlations and connections to the past and to bring it into the future of today. To say, hey, look, you know, I believe that my path is that I'm a seeker of knowledge, but I want to bring about this knowledge to share it with others freely. And that is my purpose, especially now that it's so important for this great awakening for people to realize who they truly are before they get involved with the Borg, because that's coming. And, you know, I know that there's people out there who will choose the Borg, you know, no matter what you say to them. And there's going to be those who need this message that we have to share. So that's the main facilitator, is to get the message out, and you guys can amplify the message. So once I, you know, share what I know, go and share these things freely so that it becomes common knowledge again about the elements. I can show y'all some of that if you want to see it. You know, I don't want to waste your time or take up too much of your time, but I have, you know, I have a lot of my presentation that I'm going to do with Rex Bear. I have it completed already because I'm like, I worked on it all day today. Because when I downloaded the information about the Freemason, which is actually 3 Mason, when you listen to and they're very similar. It's kind of a wind sound. So it's actually 3 Masonry. And Mason is mater, which is mother, MATER, plus sun, the SUN. So it's earth and sun. And when you see some of these diagrams that I have been collecting, because my inner wisdom says, collect this, collect that, screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. So that way I can then express what it is that I'm trying to speak and show people. Well, I am telling you, there's a reason for everything. And there's a reason why I played Zelda, like going and cracking all these puzzles and figuring out all this stuff. It's because this is my time to shine, to use those skills from playing video games, you know, playing puzzle games and things of that nature, and to bring it up into this type of context where I can then put all the puzzle pieces together to share the wisdom with others and to awaken to their senses of who they truly are. So would y'all want to see that or no? Y'all can tell me no, and if you don't want to, I don't have to share it with you if you don't want to spend time on it.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Go ahead, Ellen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll show you guys. And you know, it won't take.
I'm gonna say goodnight to you all.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Bye. Love you, Cynthia. See you
night.
later.
Night.
Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna share screen. Yeah, Cynthia knows that I can get off on these tangents, I guess. Like I can talk all night. That's part of Aquarian's thing when it comes to stuff like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this. Let me close my little viewfinder box. Okay, so this is basically the foundations of our world. That's why I'm always going over the foundations of everything. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And eventually, you know, the teacher will disappear for all of us. So these 4 elements consist of a series of different sacred geometric patterns, and most teachings, they leave out the 5th element, which is the ether or the spirit realm. These are the elements as they are in physics. And each of these elements has a role to play in this world and inside of our bodies, of course. I'm going to do this kind of quickly so we can get to some of the meat and potatoes of it all. The ether is the interconnected web called the tetragrammaton, which connects us to all things. And this is what science is basically touching upon, is that there's this web that interconnects us to everything. And this is what the elements actually look like. So this is based upon the Star of David. So this is from my previous video with the matrix is a series of interlocking pyramids, which are holographic in nature, and it reacts with our thoughts, which are scalar waves, which means our thoughts can affect this and create from the ether. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the age of Aries and Gemini and Taurus. That's the golden age where we reach this higher state of awareness and consciousness. So this was found, and the black lines were actually added, but this was a crop circle that was found. And I believe someone's consciousness is actually going out and creating the crop circles, because I did come across a video where they showed these orange orbs that were wisping across a field. And of course, the next day there was a crop circle. And I believe those to be just someone's consciousness that has been extracted from outside the body to go around and manipulate matter.
I saw orange orbs in 1980 with my first UFO. They went down into the water.
Yes. It's consciousness is that's what I'm learning about some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think it is.
So in India, they suggest that people meditate on the Sri Yantra because it holds the foundational truths. Within the form of the Sri Yantra are the 4 elements plus the tetragrammaton matrix and some other elements. These are actually scalar waveforms. This petal, what they call the lotus petals, are actually scalar waves. So it's emanating this energy in its 2D state. And that energy is a beneficial one. So each particle of the matrix represents one of the 4 elements as represented by the star tetrahedron. And these things click together. Their little corners will click together and spin and rotate to attach to the positive and negative ions in order to formulate other things that we would consider matter. Each element has positive and negative ions which they interlock with other elements and it creates new forms. I'll have to change the S, but that's okay. The tetragrammaton has also been referred to as God. So what we have is the Yod He Vod He. And the Yod He Vod He is the fire language that they speak of, you know, and when we talk about Hebrew, it wasn't ever Hebrew. It was actually, I can't remember the language, but Jordan Maxwell speaks about this, where he said Hebrew, the term Hebrew is actually derogatory. And if people knew what it actually meant, they would be appalled and offended because it was actually used as a derogatory term. But the Yehad is the all father, or it encompasses all things, and it creates with its sound. So this contains the 5 elements of air, fire, water, earth, plus the ether, which are the foundations of everything in our reality. These are the alchemical symbols: fire, air, water, earth. The order is air, fire, water, earth is the actual natural order. The symbols and colors of the 4 elements. So as we know, fire is red, earth is green, water is blue, and air is yellow. But these are also akin to the yin and yang. So that's what creates this moist, warm, dry, and cool, which we'll see in a minute. All the cultures worldwide once knew the meaning of life and how to use the matrix based on their willpower, which is the elements. But the Jewish people, or Germanic, or Viking people basically came around, they marched around the world and started warring with other nations and squelching knowledge. Each of the 4 elements are contained in our physical form, and one element dominates us more based on the natal chart or at the time and place we were born. This is what determines, what zodiac sign we are. Astrology can teach us many things about ourselves and the world around us once we learn the foundations of our reality. So these are all of the aspects of each sign, and they're positive or negative based on where the planets are in your chart and what planet is dominating most in your natal chart. The air signs are Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Water signs are Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. And I tell you, there's that one main element, which is what we're talking about right here, is determined by where the sun is in your natal chart. And that energy dominates your life the most. But then all of the other elements are encompassed into your personality as well. So I suggest that as we're doing and learning Hermetics, we first focus on what our sun sign is and really hone in on that skill. So meditating with whatever your main element is and breathing it in. This is part of Hermetics where you breathe in the element a certain number of times. Imagine it coming through your skin. And then you become that. You feel like you are that element. Like mine's air. So I would breathe in the air through my skin, envisioning it coming into my body as I breathe in, filling up my body with air to the point that I can eventually levitate myself. As I progress with this meditation, at some point, I should be able to manipulate the ether enough to where I can actually begin to levitate myself because I feel like I am air. That's what Hermetics teaches. So the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And then since our male and female bodies contain the ether and 4 elements of the holographic matrix, Hermetics teaches initiates how to use the matrix through a person's willpower and imagination, therefore creating a divine trinity with God. So it is the male and female aspect, which is the yin and yang, plus the divine essence of the ether or God, that forms the Trinity. There can be no other way. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot have a male without a female. They have been teaching false doctrines about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's a false doctrine.
That's for sure.
Okay.
Well, when 2 become 1, 1 become all, not one
Yes.
is the all, and this is the end. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, so the male and female are represented by the yin and yang, or duality aspect of everything. And the hexagram is the unity of all elements and the union between male and female. So the downward facing is water and is also feminine because it is the vessel, it's the cup. The upward facing triangle or pyramid is the fire and air. The air comes across with the line that is at the top here, and water is the line at the bottom. but it's also earth and fire. So interdependent opposing forces. We have male and female, the yin and yang, cold, hot, wet, dry, all of these. When you find yourself out of balance in some way, whether mentally, physically, or otherwise, if you turn to the yin and yang symbol and look up all of what it represents, you can find what you need to add in your life, which will be one of these opposites. Like, let's say that you're lonely and you're a male. Well, what's going to happen is you need to incorporate more yin energy in your life. You either need to go out and intermingle with some of the divine feminine friends in your life, or, do some aspect of bringing in this yin energy. And as you are too active, if you get too active, you get tired, something's happening and you're not feeling quite right, you need to go and rest. This is the kind of thing that can actually balance your entire world. When you find that you're dehydrated, you need to go to more water. Or if you're too hot, you need to go to cold, and all of this. Finding out what foods represent these elements will also be beneficial to you. The polarities, masculine, feminine, yang, yin, active, passive, projective, receptive, extroverted, introverted, anima, centrifugal, centripetal, levity, and gravity. Everything, the polar opposites are in effect at all times. This is the same thing, except with all of the different elements for the zodiac. More aspect of the elements and the correlation to our world, more yin and yang, more knowledge. This is what's missing in the world right now. And we can actually create a more balanced mind based on some of these formulas as well. Now, this is what the meat and potatoes is about. The spirit descends to the earth plane through the fire of the light from the heavens above. So we shoot down from the one, the all source of light. We then travel down throughout all of those rings of influence, down through Saturn's gate and exiting from the moon and the sun into this world. This is the physical plane or material world of reality. Notice this shape, this conical shape. Again, the pyramid, again, the fire. Very important aspect of our world because it connects us up into the etheric plane. But the air is all around up here as well, with the water and earth being down below. Therefore, we are like the gods who art in heaven, made from the stars, and the wandering stars we call planets who came to walk upon earth. That is why this pentagram is very vital. They are using it in not only Freemasonic ceremonies, but also in black magic in an upside down form to be the antithesis, to summon that which is below. Because as this points upward and outward, this represents the connectivity to the light above. When you reverse this pentagram and then use it to summon the principalities below us, you are then inversing this entire dynamic, using the four elements along with the darker aspects of the consciousness to summon the principalities of darkness beneath us. This is how it works. And that's why, when I said this is 33 degrees, this angle right here is the 33rd degree. And when you take out a protractor and you connect all the 33rd degrees, it created this pentagram. And that's what hit me yesterday. Like my subconscious mind from my sleep said to me, it's a pentagram. Go check it out. Go look. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is. Okay. Notice this compass in the man's hands to the left. He's like an architect. He's an architect for the universe. And he's telling you something. It's the circle. Here's the circle that encompasses all things, all matter, all elements. And the triangle, which represents the spirit coming down from heaven down to the earth plane. Earth is a cube. It has a cube shape, and so does Saturn. Because when we die, we exit through Saturn's gate, which would also be part of that cube. And the circle, this is the wholeness and the completion of the divine essence of the male and feminine qualities and aspects of our world, the duality that is spoken of. This is the Holy Trinity. This is the divine essence of everything. After much research in many different areas, especially occult knowledge and hermetics, I woke up one day, which was yesterday, to what Freemasonry is all about. The architects of the universe are us. Freemasonry is three masonry. The TH and the F are very similar in sound. And Mason is matter or mater, meaning earth, and sun, which is really mother. It's Mother Earth. And sun being the sun, which is the SUN. And the sound frequencies of the words carry the weight of the meaning, not the spelling. The spelling is there to confuse us. And that's part of the black magic. Freemasonry is three masonry because it is a reference to the Trinity of woman, man, and Holy Spirit, which is a reference to the sun or the holy light in heaven. This image correctly depicts the Holy Trinity, which includes woman and man. You cannot have one without the other, but they are trying very hard to change all of that. The divine feminine and divine masculine energies can be found in the yin and yang, which is the dualistic nature of everything in our world. And we've already covered that. The original masters of Freemasonry not only built stone buildings such as star forts that actually emitted a beneficial energy through the knowledge of the elements, they also knew the secrets to the universe. And I think this is about the end, because I wanted to go over, I'm going to be incorporating why this is touching water. It's resonating at the frequencies of the four elements. So you've got the water and you've got the earth. But then you have this star formation that is emitting a frequency all its own, just like a snowflake. It has a shape similar to a snowflake where it has all these points coming off the edges. This is valuable because as it emits this form, it is reacting with the stars in heaven above, which are electric, and it's combining to make this etheric frequency that is beneficial to all life. And it is important that the water be flowing in its own natural, innate ways. Water does not like to stand still. It likes to be in motion in order for it to maintain its integrity of life. And as we capture water in vessels and things, it slowly fades and dies over time, especially when it's put in plastic bottles. It then absorbs the energy of the plastic and it becomes dead water, which is not beneficial to us. We are literally taking in death as we consume all these foods and products that they're providing. I think that's, no, I'm not quite done yet. Okay. Star patterns contain angles that have a holographic and alchemical effect with the tetragrammaton matrix, meaning by drawing or creating these patterns, you can affect your reality. So you can actually take some of these sacred geometric drawings, put them on a purple plate underneath your pillow, for example, and have your thoughts affected during your sleep or even while you're awake. So I actually have a purple stone that I put beneath my pillow. It's actually a flat stone, and I forgot what an agate. Actually, I just bought it recently. I was like, I'm going to put this under my pillow, and sure enough, what's been happening every morning is I'm getting these downloads. So we can actually try to draw in knowledge from the ethers, from our higher self, from the subconscious mind, from the one, the all source, by doing some of these actions. If you take a speed square or protractor and create a 5-star pattern with a 33rd degree angle of Freemasonry, you will create a hexagram. And that's what I did. But notice this also has the tree of life or Kabbalah in its form as well. The hexagram can be used as a divine tool to create many things by using the power of mind over the material world through the use of the 4 elements plus spirit. And these are the shapes. that are representing of these elements. Notice how Earth is a square. It's a cube, just like Saturn. What are they doing out here in the world? They are trying to ground us in our root chakra, to ground our consciousness into the earth and to the lower states of mind, with all of their formulas, with all of their tricks and quackery and everything. They're trying to get us to just make ourselves base continually, to stop the ascension of consciousness that is happening right now. But they will never win that game, ever. You cannot stop the frequencies in the universe. They are absolute, and they will continue no matter what. But what we've got is these dark magi from Atlantis have summoned demons to then take over their bodies and to carry around these demons and to set them upon the earth to do all of these dastardly things that people are doing right now. And they've tricked humanity into attacking itself. And until we can get people to see this truth, we're going to have to keep going through this dark phase. And I wish we could get more people on board some of these concepts, but it's so hard to get people to even listen to anything other than the indoctrination they've already received. The foundations of these teachings can be found in Hermetics. These were the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, and I didn't spell his name right, or Thoth, the ibis-headed alchemist of Egypt. We are all chemists, as Chem was the name for Egypt, and our spirits were present during that time. Our DNA is ancient, and it contains the genetic memories of the past. We all work with the ether to co-create our reality together. So thinking is electric and knowing is magnetic. Meditation is the key that will open the door to your inner self, wherein lies all true power for material manifestation. For as sound springs from the silences, so does positive action come from inner knowing. They say that in the beginning there was the word. The word was basically a sound frequency. And the sound emitted light. And the light then sprouted out. And it imparted all of these things. It created this world. Some divine origin happened, and it created the world that we are now expressing and feeling. So this is the principle of mentalism. This is part of Hermetics. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The Kabbalion. Comes from the Kabbalion. This principle embodies the truth that all is mind. It explains that the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances, which we know under the terms of the material universe, the phenomena of life, matter, energy, and in short, all that is apparent to our material senses, is spirit, which in itself is unknowable and undefinable, but which may be considered and thought of as a universal, infinite living mind. It also explains that all the phenomenal world or universe is simply a mental creation of the all, subject to the laws of created things, and that the universe as a whole and in its parts or units has its existence in the mind of the all, in which mind we live and move and have our being. This principle, by establishing the mental nature of the universe, easily explains all of the varied mental and psychic phenomena that occupy such a large portion of the public attention, and which, without such explanation, are non-understandable. And I can't see the bottom. I got like buttons in the way, something of scientific treatment. My little buttons are in the way. I can't believe it. I'm gonna have to make that smaller. An understanding of the great Hermetic principle of mentalism enables the individual to readily grasp the laws of the mental universe and to apply the same to his well-being and advancement. The Hermetic student is enabled to apply intelligently the great mental laws instead of using them in a haphazard manner. With the master key in his possession, the student may unlock the many doors of the mental and psychic temple of knowledge and enter the same freely and intelligently. This principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all of these are subordinate to the mastery of mind. One of the old Hermetic masters wrote long ages ago, "He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery." And these words are as true today as in the time they were first written. Without this master key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. The 7 Hermetic principles upon which the entire Hermetic philosophy is based are as follows: the principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, the principle of gender. And I'll probably go more into detail of this, but we've already covered the yin and yang. Cause and effect means what you put out is what you get back. Rhythm is, I haven't quite figured that one out yet. I was going to go through all of the Hermetic principles again. Mentalism is obviously your states of consciousness and awareness. Correspondence is how the world reacts to your thoughts plus your emotions. Principle of vibration, what are you resonating at? What level of vibration? Are you in the lower states, in the lower chakras, or are you in the higher states above the heart chakra and up? That's kind of what all of that means in a nutshell. The power of the mind is absolute. Thoughts create things. The body is a vessel that can radiate energy at different frequencies. You can tune into higher or lower frequencies by raising or lowering your emotional states, similar to changing the station on a radio. The body and mind are an antenna moving around in fields of energies that have positive and negative polarities, while constantly sending and receiving signals to detect these ever-changing energetic fields in the environment. And that's kind of where I ended. So, you know, it's a lot of information, and I'm going to try to put it well in a well-rounded format so that even the most base person can comprehend it and start to kind of click, you know, into some of those ideas.
Yeah, very good, Alan. Did you know calcium's a metal?
How is it a metal?
It's a metal. It's classified as a metal.
Hmm.
So we are walking antennas.
Yeah, well, I mean, our bodies. So the bones, our bones are crystalline in their structure, is what this is. Marcel Vogel, if you go through his videos, you're going to find all this knowledge. And our spinal column is pyramid shapes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, obviously it's harnessing orgone energy and the 4 elements plus the ether. But yeah, I mean, I've never heard about it being a metal, but I know that it's, you know, crystalline, or what our bones are.
I think we're actually free energy beings. I think we draw energy from the ether.
Yes.
I think it drives
Yes.
our nervous system.
Yes, absolutely. So if you study pranayama and you study, you know, Kundalini yoga and things of that nature, you will learn that as you breathe in, you're breathing in the prana. You're breathing in the life force energy. And when you die is when you let it all out and you stop taking it in. So then you ascend back up into heaven. But that whole dynamic, you're breathing in the ether. The ether is in the air. The air then turns to fire, which is water, which is earth. You know, you've got all of that inside of you. So
we are all made out of earth, wind, fire, and what is it? All the 4, whatever. And it's like, how can that physically even happen? Because those things aren't supposed to mix. So our life is basically a mystery. Like science hasn't discovered anything.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about science is they don't believe in spirituality. They don't believe that the spirit is real because they can't prove it in a lab, you know.
The spirit moves the matter, not matter moves spirit. I mean, that's what thought is. And I mean, you can prove that. I mean, I don't think there's a need to prove that, but whatever. Like, it's like saying the sun is up. It's like, you don't really have to prove that.
I know. I mean,
some people need it. Some people need to be proved, but you know, whatever.
I know, you know, some people don't believe that
they can believe whatever they want, but reality is right there. It's not changing just because you're believing.
Yeah.
I debated the Skeptical Society. Have you ever heard of the Skeptical Society?
No, what is
I debated them once. They're based out in Amherst near Buffalo. And I went to one of their meetings and I told them about Dr. Emoto, and they all flipped out. You should have seen them. They erupted like demons and they started swearing at me in the middle of a coffee house. They started swearing at me.
Yeah.
And I won the argument, obviously, because I had pictures on my.
They can't win, so they turn to violence. I mean, that's what it is.
They couldn't win, so they started swearing at me. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, I mean, That's kind of like a day without being without death threats is like a day without sunshine. That's kind of how
Yep.
I go online. I just start shit with people, and they're like, yeah, like,
They
whatever,
published a Skeptical Inquirer, and I took them on.
yeah, good for you, man. Bravo.
I tell you, because what happens is cognitive dissonance. People want to resonate with the people who agree with them, you know. But when someone comes in to challenge
That's their
what their
nature.
indoctrination is, it makes them uncomfortable. So their immediate knee-jerk reaction is to backlash. You like lash out at someone and attack them because they feel like they're under attack. But they're actually using a
You
mirror.
can always change your belief. I'm not attacking you, but that belief might be erroneous. Could be, maybe. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
yeah, but they took it personal. Yeah.
Well, science actually proves spirit if you look at the science.
Mhm.
Trust the
Yeah,
science, right?
energy. Life is energy. Energy
Yes.
cannot be destroyed. Energy just gets transmitted or changes form. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we die, it just changes form. So science already just shot itself in the foot saying God does.
Well, here's the way to look at anyone that challenges what you have to present to them. Even if they don't accept it on your silver platter that you're serving up, then you've then planted a seed in their mind that will grow, and it will grow into a greater idea. So
Well,
who
I see
knows,
like the
you know?
mind is like the soil. I mean, you can plant seeds anywhere, but if the soil is good enough to make that seed to fruition, that's like a different story. Like I just learned that a new concept.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I
mind
mean,
isn't really like, it's just like your mind is basically just the earth. Like, can you handle the truth? Or like, you know, that's what
Most
people like to say. Like,
most people can't handle truth, you know. They can't handle the fact that, you know, there's a demonic presence that is now taking over the earth. And it's Rudolf Steiner who talks about Ahriman is going to now manifest from,
yeah,
he didn't know about artificial intelligence, but he said Ahriman is going to come in the future. And,
he's he knows all about this how do you call that? Like being a fraud, faking people out, what is it called?
yes, he's a deceiver.
Deceiver, yeah.
Ahriman's going to deceive people. And it's all it was the Dark Journalist channel on YouTube that I listened to, who was talking about Ahriman and Rudolf Steiner's work. And he said that it potentially could be artificial intelligence that Rudolf Steiner was talking about, that this being is actually going to manifest into our reality.
The consciousness that came here through that, yeah. Like how you're saying it. Yeah.
Yes, because as we are pumping our thought, and this just came to me, as we are pumping our consciousness into these meetings that get recorded and then uploaded to the cloud, you know, it gets and it's shared amongst all the other consciousnesses, we are creating a being together. We're all co-creating this entity and this energy as we are now sharing our consciousness, because we are creators, and what we think of creates in reality.
Mm-hmm. I just heard something important from Gigi Young. She said that we did not come from the Anunnaki. We weren't genetically engineered to be a slave race to dig gold. She said, no, we're a product of the universe, and we shouldn't think of ourselves as being genetically engineered from an alien species, because that removes our divinity from God.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an important thing. I just learned
the
that.
beginning was we are from the stars. Like our DNA actually comes from the stars, but I mean, we did get pushed a certain way genetically. I mean,
No, we evolved with the earth. I believe that.
right. No, I believe our origins are like we come from the stars. So
Yeah,
we
but
were seeded. We came from, you know, well, I mean, whatever, that's just belief, but yeah.
This Anunnaki thing takes our divinity away, though. Thinking that we came out of an Anunnaki test tube, they're not even human.
No,
Okay.
but they manipulated what we already were. So they didn't create us. They manipulated us into a better slave for them. Or that's how I see it. But you know, I mean,
Well-
you can't take away that we were given life from God.
It's
That's
complicated. I listened to her and put her points in some of my videos recently. So if you're interested in what she says, it's in my videos.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I get kind of like on this train of thought with Anunnaki. Okay, so we know Anu was a being, right? Anu was like some sort of being.
Mhm.
And Ki was earth in Egypt's day. So Anu, Na, Ki sounds like Anu of earth to me.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Enki and Enlil, for whatever reason, my mind goes no. Because what is happening is people are putting their own interpretation into a story
Mhm.
and trying to decipher that story. When in actuality, what has been happening repeatedly that we see throughout the Bible, throughout all of these other books and teachings out here, is that everything goes back to the science and soul of the stars, the soul, all this. So what if Anunnaki, Anu of earth, or the sun, Anu, as we know, the sun has had many names throughout different many ages, Anu and earth, and then Enki and Enlil are the basically the polarities of the elements. You have electricity, El was the sun, and then electricity, and that is the fire and the air element. And then the earth and the water would be Ki, right? So Anu, the sun, which is the fire and the air, I'm just putting it out there because everything in all of the hidden realms of the mystery school stuff reverts back to all of this foundational stuff, like the elements, the 4 elements and the ether, and how it all integrates.
You're
Yeah, we
right.
have 4 DNA base pairs, which I just say earth, wind, fire, and
Like
it
the
doesn't matter
band.
what you call it, but there's 4 different ones. They all have different characteristics.
Like, do you remember when it first September? Earth, wind, and fire. Come on. See, they were trying to put stuff out there. I mean, every now and then you get like these little ode to the elements and stuff. That woman who's going to be my guest, she's actually about to enter into the room. I'm like, oh, okay. We're going to talk to her about how she removes spirits. So, but yeah, I'm telling you, these creation stories, all these stories out here where they're trying to figure out who the Elohim were. Oh, listen, the download of the Elohim, again, knowing that El was the sun and Ohim was the other gods, oh, let us come make man in our image. It's the science of the soul and the stars. I'm like, the planetary is what they're talking about. They're talking about the 7 planets and the sun. And, people can't grasp this kind of information. I'm like, Elohim is oh my gosh, it's the planetary spheres, because it's in our astrology, it's in the
Of course, the main
zodiac
god's the
chart.
planet. I mean, of our system.
So I'm like, why can't anybody else see this? Am I the only one who sees this now? That all of this stuff ties back into the elements and earth, and I don't know, the stars. I believe that's what it
Ours
is.
was the beginning part.
The problem is the names have constantly changed, just like we're calling quantum physics what the ether was not so long ago. It's the ether. The quantum is the same as the ether, but they're changing
Quantum
names.
means like you're counting something, but ether cannot be counted because it's in a how do you say that? Like a forever state. It's not in a time space. It's in its own state. So
Yeah,
you can't quantify that at all. So
but they're calling it quantum physics because they're trying to define something that is not tangible. So they got to.
They're using like water characteristics with like air characteristics. Like that's not gonna work, man.
Well, they just, they are just coming up with all these terms and stuff, and who actually decides what terms are going to be used, I mean, who decides we're going to wear red socks on Tuesday or whatever? Seriously. I mean, like, where do these things come from? Everything has an origin. Where's this stuff trickling down from?
Some of them are random, but or like chaotic, not random. Random doesn't actually exist. It's chaotic. That is real.
Oh, listen, we're in chaos.
The archons are chaos, but you know,
Huge chaos energy right now. I mean, we are swimming in fields of oh my gosh. That's why it's best if we go outside and get someone, soak up some of nature. But right now, those towers, Sauron's 5G towers, I don't know if y'all
I've been
seen,
under attack lately. I've had to use like physical force and everything.
I'm
It's getting crazy out here.
Andrew, did you see that video I put out, Sauron's 5G?
No, I haven't. I've been making 2 videos a day. Or-
Good for you. That's awesome.
yeah, I've been putting them out. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not bragging or anything.
No,
you
no,
know.
no, no, no. Listen, we are all busy. I haven't stopped to listen to anyone else's channels because I'm just getting like, oh my God, your
Yep.
downloads. And then I was banned for a week. So I was like on vacation. And now I'm just like, oh my gosh, I gotta get this stuff out.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
it's really good. Your presentation is really good. Just
thank you. I can see such a large
I
picture.
can't see it as a beginner. Like I'm kind of like really into the hermetic, so like I've like thought of it as much as I can, and like even more and more. Like you could just have one little sentence, and just the whole thing just opens up, and it's like a whole new universe. And it's like, you know, like how can you explain that to somebody who's new? Like
I
who
know.
doesn't even know the 7 principles, or like
Well, that's why I'm laying these foundations together. I'm like,
Right.
well, click, click, click.
Right.
It's like Legos, you know, I'm gonna click this stuff together to make
yeah, you can always just keep building. That's like
Yes.
the key to the whole thing is there's a foundation, and you can make whatever the hell you want out of it. It's like, you know,
Well, I see where the interconnectedness is of the science and the spirituality. And now it's
Yeah.
just about,
you
let's
need
bring,
both of them to have reality.
yes,
Like science says there's no spiritual, it's not going to work. It's 2 become 1, and 1 becomes all. Like
yes.
you need to have balance. If you don't have the balance, you ain't becoming nothing. Like, well, that's how I interpret it. But
No, seriously. So everything was compartmentalized by these black magi.
so they can control them, and they can
Yes.
not know what's going on. Yeah,
They
they're
could
just held
control the
They
information.
think they're helping people, but you're really making nuclear bombs, bombing innocent people in some other countries.
And all of those wars have been sacrifices to demons.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single one of them.
There's no reason to fight. We have more than enough food. There's more than enough
Yes.
oil. Like, there's no reason to fight. There's just being a greedy bastard. And just,
They wanted to create a scarcity mind program to put in the minds of the masses because we are the creators. We are the architects of this world. Our minds create our reality, and people can prove it to themselves. I don't have to prove it to anyone.
yeah,
I'm just here to share.
reality doesn't need to be proved. I mean, the truth doesn't need to be proven, but I mean, you should understand it. to
Well, most
grasp
people don't. Most people don't because they're living in Disneyland in their mind.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
think that
very
this is all there is this physical stuff, you know, oh, material world. I got to have my material things, you know, but we're living in the dark winter where Saturn rules and all that. So it's going to be
That's
dark.
where the strongest light prevails through the darkest dark.
Yeah.
That's
But
why we're supposed to be here.
I guess she's not coming into the room. She said she was coming. She was getting her computer and getting online. Let me check my email real quick. I'll check and see what she says, if she said anything. Nothing. That's weird. She texted me. I don't know if she's coming or not. Well, anyway, I can just tell her we're done if y'all want to be done. It doesn't matter to me. I was hoping to hear from her because she did tell me the one thing that stood out in my mind from what she had said about dealing with these spirits is that you can take a bowl of water and put a couple of drops of turpentine in it and place it under the bed of the person who is affected by dark spirits. And it will draw in the essence of those dark spirits.
Well, I can
So
try
she
that.
knows other techniques, you know.
Will it work outside their door?
It might. You know, salt is very good because salt is crystalline, and salt, it will never become septic ever. That's why they use salt to dry out meats.
Well,
it
the
keeps-
alchemists, they see salt as the earth. That's
Yeah.
what the earth means, is the salt.
Salt of the earth, yes. It's the water and earth make salt. Kind of interesting. That was in one of those charts that I showed in that presentation.
I mean, those alchemists all know all the stuff already. Like, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just
Yes.
were you paying attention?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've just forgotten it all. We've forgotten everything because of what's been happening. Oh, she said that the Zoom is not opening. Hold on.
I mean, I got time, but if you want to split, that's fine with me too.
No, I mean, I would continue talking. I've got to help her out, apparently. Let me see if I can get her. Let me invite her from, maybe I can invite her from the chat. Let me see how to do that. Let's see.
If
How
you have
do you-
that hermetic group, I'm kind of interested in if you guys chat about that, but I don't really have too many people to talk about it. I talked to my other, this is like a Christian friend, but he only talks about it like in the Bible way, but like that's enough. But it's like, you know, like I can't really get down, like, you know, like if you're
Yeah,
into
so
the hermetic thing.
I do that on Sundays. I can add your name to the list. And if Andrew, you want to join, you're more than welcome to join as well. We're reviewing all of Franz Barden's teachings, basically. I have his 3 books of the Initiation into
Okay,
Hermetic.
what were those books you were talking about? Can I get some time?
Do you
That
know?
dream you had?
Listen, so
didn't-
my friend just sent me a link where they're the PDFs of Franz Barden's books. You don't have to spend $40 or whatever, you know.
Okay.
So I will, because I told her, I said, send me the links and I will send them to other people who can't get the books or, you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm interested. You have a
Yeah,
book.
and I'll send it to you and then I'll get you caught up. I can like send you the emails of the classes that, because I record them, but I don't share them publicly. And they're
Okay.
usually up on YouTube as unlisted. I sent her the link, the current link, and hopefully she can check that. Let me text her again and see. I want her to come talk about how she removes spirits because that was going to be one of the key.
My great grandfather was like a witch doctor in South America in the Amazon. Damn, I wish I knew what language he spoke when I met him. 'Cause I couldn't communicate with him at all.
I just found out that those people believe that the dream world is real and the
Yeah,
waking
it is.
world
The
is.
universe is mental. That's the real world. This is
Yeah.
the illusion
I
of
just
matter
found that
that you're
out.
living in, and you get stuck in the illusion of matter. That's
It's a
basically,
trap.
you know,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just found it out.
it is, man.
Welcome
It's a
home,
universe of
Andrew.
They can't touch you.
Can't you
You
tell?
have no
Andrew?
body.
Look at how you fade in and out of existence in the background. And you're like, I'm transforming through time. I'm just immaterial. I love your background thing. Mine doesn't, I can go backwards and mine doesn't disappear as well as yours. I don't know what.
I'm laying on my bed.
Well, that's all right. You know,
The lighting probably changed.
there she is. Here she comes. Yeah. I don't have my portal that I could disappear. Oh, there it goes. I got Doctor Strange's room. I'm like, this is cool. I'm Doctor Strange now.
I can cover the camera and disappear too.
Yeah, me too. Watch this. Look, the window is a basketball.
Yeah.
And the basketball, look, so I found the image. It's an element. It's one of the elements. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's one of the, in the periodic chart of elements, you know, it's like alchemical, I should say. It has a design that's very similar to a basketball. I was like, look, it's a basketball. And I remember Jordan Maxwell mentioned something about the design being a sacred geometric type something. I can't remember. I was like, what? Where'd she go? She entered and then it didn't connect. She's not here. I don't know where. I'm confused. It's the spirits, you know. I'm telling you, that happened when I was trying to get connected with Jerry on the last thing. Oh my gosh.
Well, the stuff Jerry talks about, that just like, I mean, like I kind of lived through it before I heard about him, but it's like at secondhand, it kind of like I kind of did the right thing. Like by listening to what he talks about, it's like, yeah, I did the right thing. Cause like, you know, you do something, you don't have no idea what the hell is going, you don't know what is what, and you just do the best you can. And then this is kind of like confirmation, like, yeah, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, you know.
Yes.
A lot
Yeah.
of people tell you, oh no, keep taking your, yeah, do that. You wind up with your brain shrunk and all stupid.
Well, I
You know?
tell you what I'm going to do, since the Archons seem to follow Jerry around, they're a little upset that he's talking about all this stuff, and that's what keeps getting my YouTube videos removed.
Some of them got pissed at me too.
I'll probably, because I'm going to have an interview with Jerry again, and I'll do the same thing that I did before, where I have like an open forum where people can ask questions. He's going to have Shelly and George come as well. George was actually one of those people possessed,
Uh-huh.
and he's going to talk about that experience. So
I know this is, I don't know the guy, but the guy, I know he's like has Archon influences telling him stuff. And I saw him before, and like I can tell like he's talking and he's listening. And then like when I was out and I was like on force, and he looked at me and he turned right around, so he knows like what I had on me, and like somebody was telling him like, I don't fuck with that guy.
listen,
I've been attacked like 4 times in the last like 2 months, and it's like, you know, like, just, you know, basically meth users, and their little demons tell them to come after me, and it's like, oh.
hey, Mary.
Hi, how everyone doing?
Good.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hey, so we were just talking about random things. I can hear my voice in speakers. It's weird.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Okay.
but I hear my voice talking too. It's weird, like an echo. I don't know why.
Yeah. I'm trying to see, do I need to turn up my volume?
So Mary, we want to know, we're going to ask you to impart your wisdom on how to deal with archons or dark spirits, or, you know, black magic that's everywhere, because you've been one of the people that I was hoping to talk to in the first gathering that we had. We had a nice group of people before. We actually had more people on tonight, but they had to go since we've been here for 3 hours. And we're just sharing our wisdom and knowledge about different things and remedies for certain situations. What do you know?
Well, one thing is real, know that, right? And I told you I had to go out. So I sort of experienced some today. And I'm like, what the,
Mhm.
and things was happening that I wasn't expecting it to happen. And I'm like, okay, we have to stay focused and centered,
Mhm.
as well as grounded. And however we ground ourselves, we have to stay grounded. And what I usually do for myself, a lot of times, I will stomp my feet. If something is going on around me and I'm sort of getting caught up in it, or it's pulling my attention to, rather than me staying focused.
Mhm.
That's one of the things. But always wear your, like they say, your whole armor, whether it be your stones, your oils, your meditations, your potions, or whatever you use.
Yeah, I think it's something's wrong with your connection.
Yeah.
Where is your router?
I'm in the room with it.
Oh. It might be spirits.
Well, it could be. But like I said, I did experience some things today.
Yeah, what happened?
My lipstick broke, and I don't even know how it got out of my purse. I saw something falling when I'm talking to my granddaughter, and I look down and I'm like, what is this? And I see one part is on the right of me and one part is on the left of me. And I'm like, what is this? And I picked it up. I'm like, this looked like a part of my lipstick. So I looked to the left. The other 2 pieces was over on the left side. I don't even know how I got there. And I picked it up, and sure enough, it was my lipstick that had fallen out of my purse. And I don't even know how it got out of my purse.
Hmm.
So
No telling.
no, it's not, because it did let me know that the energy at the school where I was, it wasn't correct, because I saw a lot of things that is under the surface at the school rather than being transparent. So that made me have questions that I have to speak with my granddaughter's mother about, because I let her use one of my wall sticks today, my granddaughter, and it was broken in 3 pieces.
Oh.
And this is oak wood.
Hmm.
And I'm like, how did this happen? And she's a 10-year-old. And soon as I saw it, it was like, okay, a child didn't, this had to be an adult. Well, see, they had on costumes today. So anyone could have been, it could be someone that don't really care for her, but a lot of other things came up about the school that you can't really see. I don't know if I needed to see it like that today, but it happened, you know.
Yeah, well, strange days are upon us for sure. Now, you and I had spoken before about the turpentine beneath the bed. To like capture
Yes, yes.
energy. Can you explain
Have you
that?
been able to find any? I have been able to find any.
Yeah, I have turpentine.
Well, I have been looking for it now. I want the swan kind because I know that's the old kind, but that's the one that I'm used to. And what that does, that keep this negative spirits away. If you put it in water and put it under your bed.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also use it, they used to use it for a vaccine in the early 60s. They would put it, remember I was telling you they would put it on a cube of sugar
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and you would take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the turpentine.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it okay if you put it on the side of the bed? Because I don't have like a bottom to put it under. Was
It
it
probably
necess-
would, it probably would be okay, but you don't want to do, it's very, very potent. I would say 3 drops, 4 drops in a glass of water and do it like that. Even though it's tiny drops, it's very potent. But yeah, that would help protect as well.
Okay.
And another thing that I had found I can't find anymore, I found it in a toy store. It's the stars that glow in the dark. You can put those around your borders because you know a star is a pentagram.
Yes.
So that's protecting even at the windows.
Mm-hmm. Now, there
Yes.
was actually a process. It was almost like a ritual that you had to perform with the turpentine of cleaning the bowl and all of that too, though.
You're breaking up now.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's your signal, but you explain about the process of cleaning the bowl when you change out
Clean
the turpentine.
when you change the water. Okay. You don't clean the bowl with you don't draw the water with the same hand that you clean the bowl with. For instance, if you're right-handed and you're cleaning the bowl with your right hand, and you take the water that you use to rinse it out as well, you pour that in the toilet and flush it down the toilet. So when you get ready to, after you've cleaned your bowl, you fill it up with fresh water with the opposite hand that you use to clean the bowl. It's almost like blessing the candle.
Hmm.
You know how you'll go up or down, up and then down. But with the bowl, you clean it. If you're cleaning it, like I said, with your right hand, you take and rinse with your right hand and pour it in the toilet and then flush it. It's no oil or nothing in there because usually by the time you're ready to clean it, the water has dissipated anyway.
Mhm.
So you're cleaning the goop that was left there. So once you finish cleaning it and rinsing it, then you fill your glass with the opposite hand.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then add the turpentine to it and put it where you need to put it. That's closest to under your bed. Now, one of my spiritual advisors, she used to put a little sugar in it. I don't remember what that was for, but I'm sure it was to sweeten whatever, not to make it where it's a sweetened water, but just a little sugar in the water.
Well, I learned that's for candida because candida eats sugar. So you bait it with the sugar and then you it's like a trap for the candida. You bait it with the sugar and then the turpentine will take it over. That's what I learned for
Okay, I
medical.
can't. You're breaking up too. You're breaking up also. Who are you asking?
So what I have learned is that sugar is for the candida, like inside your body, the fungus. The sugar or the candida eats sugar. So you're baiting the candida to take it. And then so you make sure that they're getting the turpentine via the sugar. That's like what I have learned the sugar is about.
Well, really, you know, being a child, this is what they would give us when we were sick. You know, at the time I didn't ask, and some of the things I still followed from memory from what my parents used to give us. And I understand, yes, candida, the sugar feeds the candida.
Mhm.
And I don't know whether that's why, even with the water and the turpentine, but I'm figuring that it was something sweet that maybe to attract a sweet spirit, or because the turpentine is very potent.
Mhm.
So that's it. I don't know. I just use it plain now since I can't remember what adding it to the water was about. But I'm sure it was about to entice sweet spirits as well, because you know the turpentine, it helps with the negative spirits and the dark energy. And I'm thinking it's sort of like a balance
Mhm.
where you have both instead of all being one. But I've had success with just the turpentine and the water.
Right. Yeah, if it works, it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as far as taking it with the water, I've never had that. Ellen, you also mentioned that you used to take it when you was younger also, right?
No, I've been taking it more recent.
Okay, so how have you been doing it?
So my turpentine experience is I keep it in a little bottle. I travel with it too. You know, I have it in a bottle separate from the eyedropper bottle because it will eat the rubber of the eyedropper. So I carry it in two different bottles. One's just an empty bottle and the other one's the substance. But I will take a teaspoon of it, which is about 2 half full eyedroppers. And I take it almost daily now because of the food supply and everything. And I'll just take it, especially after I've had maybe a little treat or something. I'm like, oh, I need to take this. And I'll just like take 2 of those eyedroppers, which is half full, and that equals a teaspoon. And so I'll just chase
Okay,
water.
okay. because it would have a taste of pine, right?
Mhm.
Sort of like pine, yeah. And see, the one that I have, the name of it is Swan, and they don't even have a dropper. I have to make, pour it from
Mhm.
the bottle and measure the drops myself.
Mhm. Yeah, the bottle itself, the original bottle is just a glass bottle, but I have taken a small amount that I
Right.
found with and put it in a smaller bottle. It's
Okay.
transportable.
Okay. I got you. I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what other methods? I know that you probably have a lot of folk methods or older methods of either dispelling spirits or, some sort of remedies for some of this stuff that, we're experiencing in the world right now.
Right. A lot of times, it all depends what you carry and what you have on your person. I've been working with crystals, as you know. I will keep those on my person. I also have a medicine bag that I keep with the different stones and the herbs in it. Uh, and I add to it what I feel that I needs to add, because spirit will tell us what we need if we just listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I will do that. And it all depends on whether it's in your home, if you're out. Well, with the medicine pouch, it's with me being out when I'm going out and about. I don't necessarily have to wear it around my neck. I can put it in my pocket or in my purse or my bag when I have it. But it's good to always have some type of protector, whether it be the essential oil that you're wearing. And of course, you don't use the essential oil that you're wearing for protection or perfume or cologne. You want it to be strictly for that. And you can anoint yourself with those type of things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And really essential oils, the ones for protections. Uh, Even if you're going to do counseling, I don't know everyone's background, but if you're doing counseling, for instance, you can put on gardenia before you do the counseling. That way you won't get sucked into what that person has going on. And like I said, working with generators and things like that in your space to help build you up before you go out. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like what we were just describing with hermetics and how you imbibe your intentions, objects, or places into those forms of what you want the space to do. Like, for example, we were talking about how you can imbibe your consciousness and your intentions in a room to say, okay, in this room, I imbibe the idea that every time I enter this space, I am going to feel healthy and rejuvenated. It's going to energize me. It's going to electrify my mind. And you set that in time. You say, okay, now that I've put this intention here, I am now going to set the time period. It shall be until the time of the future on which I wish to change it to something else, or whatever your intention is. And
Yes.
how you can charge places and things.
Yes. And also you can, like you said, send the energy before you get there.
Mm-hmm.
That helps a lot too. And today I did not send the energy because I knew it was going to be, I'm going to see my granddaughter, it's going to be good, and da 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 da. But sometimes I've noticed, even when I worked, that I would ask the creator to go before me and make it pleasant. And when I touch the doorknob, I say the same thing. Help me deal with what's going on in here today. And you know, words of power are great. It's a lot of different things that we can use to help ourselves and not be negative speaking it.
Mhm.
And knowing your thoughts, knowing what your thoughts are, and opposed to someone projecting thoughts on you. And to
That's
give you an example, when I was working, I'm sitting at my desk. It's sort of like a teller, like a bank. It was really a bank, but we wasn't a big bank like a Bank of America and stuff like that. But it was a inside bank inside of a store. So long story short, I'm sitting and I'm keying my checks and counting my money, and all of a sudden I hear cursing, and I'm like, not literally, but I hear it in my mind, and I'm like, where is this coming from? This is my thought. I don't know where this is coming from. So I kept typing and keying in my money, and I kept with a problem with one of the checks which was written wrong. So I had to go into expense payable and take care of it. So when I came back from expense payable, one of the people told me that the person that was sitting behind me had cursed someone out. So when I recognized that that wasn't my thought and I heard the cursing, I immediately, you know, acknowledged it and then pushed it out the way. But it was someone else that was doing the cursing and not me. So that's why I say knowing our own thoughts and who we are.
exactly. This is what we discussed on the previous meeting that you missed before, was that these thought form entities can also press upon your thoughts and, you know, try to trick you into thinking that these lower ideas are yours, trying to influence you to do dark acts.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So I,
that's what we
I
talk.
hope I've helped some.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you know, everything that people add, you know, as a tool to the toolbox is valuable information,
Right.
because there's
Yeah.
always many thousands upon thousands of ways to go about finding a solution to a problem.
Yeah, and I find that it's a matter of doing, and like you said, having those intentions of what the outcome that you want. You don't go in looking for something to happen. You want everything to flow smoothly before. So that your intention is that I want it to flow smoothly
Mhm.
and being positive.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the higher states of consciousness and creating your reality.
Yes.
That's what the darkness
Create.
is the most.
Pardon me.
The darkness fears the light, which is being the positive, being the love, all of that.
Yes. And light overcomes darkness, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Is that someone coming in?
No, your video has stopped moving.
Mine have?
Yes, it has. There it goes.
Should record here?
Yeah, I'm recording right now. I've been recording for 3.5 hours.
Okay. I don't know. I don't see anything where it it doesn't say it says stop video, but I haven't checked on that. Let's see.
Yeah,
Where-
no, I don't know what's up with your signal. It just is sparse. What's up, Andrew? Did you have something to say?
Pardon me?
I heard Andrew say
Oh,
something.
sorry, it's working now, but she does have an unstable signal.
Mhm. Yeah, your signal's just unstable. So,
Okay, well, it could be the location. The next time because I've had some other Zoom calls and I was downstairs,
mhm.
but this time I'm in the room with the modem, and downstairs went really well.
Yeah, there's no telling. It's either darkness or light that's stopping it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is getting late anyway. So, but I just want to thank you, Mary, for coming here. Is there anything else that you can think of that you can share as far as modalities or methods or?
I've been doing Jinshin. I might not be saying it correctly, where you hold your fingers at different points to help with the different organs and things like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like mudras in a way.
Yeah. I've been using that and I find that to be very effective. Even though I'm a healing touch practitioner, this works to me better than me doing the healing touch work. And you can do it on yourself, and it takes like 2 to 3 minutes on each finger, and just holding it and, taking deep breaths and everything. So hopefully when we have the next meeting, like I say, I'll change locations and we can hear and what about the staff and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, mudras channel energy. This is like you change the flow of the chi energy in your body when you start making shapes with your hands and with your body, doing asanas. So that'll be something, be interesting topic to discuss.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, well, thank you so much, Mary, for joining us. I know we're having some complications, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that too much. We'll definitely have
All right.
a meeting.
Okay, well, I will talk with you later and have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, Mary. Nice
Okay.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you all too, Derek and Andrew. All right,
Y'all have any
bye.
questions for Mary? Y'all have questions at all or no? I can ask her if you need.
It's still breaking up, so.
Yeah, I'm just asking if they have any questions before we sign off.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's okay. I got my questions. Sorry.
What
I
did
got my
Derek
questions
say?
done.
What's that, Andrew?
I was going to let Derek go. He seemed like he had a question.
No, he said that he's already had gotten his answered.
Oh, I'm good too. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, good.
Well,
No,
hopefully hopefully everyone will be in touch with you. And if Spirit sends something my way, I'll send it to you and you can share it with everyone.
thank you, Mary. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. Oh, somebody just
Bye.
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 Yeah, we're signing off and someone just entered. Hello.
I hope it wasn't me.
No, somebody. Mary just left. This is so weird, isn't it? It's fun though. I like it. It's chaos. It's crazy. Hey, who's with us? It's
Hey.
Agent K. I am Agent E.
I'm Agent A. We got Agent D here too.
Yeah, I know, right? You got A and D. Yeah. Who is Agent K?
Are you MK Ultra us?
All hail K. Okay, can you see? I'm gonna do the Men in Black movie. All right. I don't know who we're talking to. Anyway, Kay, we are signing off. We just signed off Meri. We've been here for 3.5 hours. Are you guys ready to sign off?
I am. I gotta get some
Yeah.
dinner.
Yeah, me too. I gotta go do some other stuff. Thank you so much, guys. I don't know who Kay is, but we're leaving now.
Thanks for
Bye,
inviting me.
y'all. I'll
guys.
talk to y'all soon. I'll be in touch.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.